Hello, everyone. I have nobody here, but I'm just going to talk like there's people here. My wife is looking at me like I'm insane. Oh, shit. I got one whole person here. Hey, Maynard Saves. Oh, two. Ryan Donovan and Maynard Saves. Oh, Sophia of Athens. I think Sophia of Athens. Is that you, Midnight? Why am I thinking that's another? That might be Midnight. Anyway, so I haven't been live in quite a while. Um, and I thought, kind of bored. I saw something that came across my feed the other day, and it was from Logicked. And there's a I hadn't seen really too much that had been going on between. So, all right, little history here. A while back, we were introduced to an individual, or I was introduced to a person by the name of Armando Calvo, who had a YouTube channel called Christ Righteous Ministries. He wrote, I guess, a couple books or one book. Either way, two YouTubers who stand out covered his content. There's been others as well. Emma Thorne has also covered, I think, one of his videos as well. Uh, he's so Calvo's kind of like an amateur YouTube Christian apologist here. Um, but there was a YouTuber by the name of David Wells and Logicked, who did videos responding to some of Armando Calvo's video content on YouTube, because Armando was doing videos where he was presenting like Christian apologetic arguments as though they were his own, but they were not his own. He was taking a lot of them, like in one video, he was basically just taking them from Frank Turek. So David Wells and Logic confronted him about this. I remember Gonna Go For It, Peter DeTucker. He had conversations with Armando Calvo. I had a conversation with Calvo on through a Discord chat. Went over like a fart in a car. Wasn't hostile or anything, but it was just constant circular, you know, it constantly circled back. Once you get him stuck on a precept, he would switch back to an evidentiary one. You get him stuck on the evidentiary argument, he'd go, or an evidentialist approach, then he'd go right back to precept. Um, Michael Deaton. Oh, it's a J stream. Well then, guess I'll watch it. Yeah, yeah. Watch at your own peril. So what I'm going to do is, so there's this history between Logic and Armando Calvo, as well as David Wells. But David Wells, I don't believe he comes up in this, and what I'm going to be covering. So there's going to be just a couple things that I'm going to show, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to present this one first. Oh, that's the other thing. So Calvo ended up going over the course of some time for quite a while. Calvo decided to join the US Army, and he did some streams about joining the US Army. Some of us who communicate here didn't really believe that. But anyway, he's been in the US Army, specifically in the infantry, which I find hilarious because I remember him doing a video where he was talking about taking classes so that he could up his MOS score, or he could up his, so he could do better on his ASVAB. So you get a better score, you get options for better MOSs or job positions in the military. And he ended up ultimately going infantry, which does not take um, a very high score to be infantry. I think all you need to be infantry is get the minimum. I think unless they've changed it, I think the score for the army is like 35 or 36 on the ASVAB. And you just need bare minimum to be infantry. Infantry is like it's well, it's grunt work, right? Um, So this was this is the one. I met a fan of Logicked story time. Now, I didn't hear about this particular video. What I heard about was I had that other one up here. Is this one right here. So it's called Armando's Back and he met a Logicked viewer. I watched this video. It's hilarious. Because the story, the way Calvo presents the story, it's an odd story. I agree with Logic. The way it's presented by Calvo, it's a really weird narrative. So Logic covered it, and so I'm not going to be watching that video again. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be listening to Armando Calvo's 9-minute video that Logic covered in this video. And then I'm going to be watching for the very first time, and you all get to watch it with me if you wish, where Logicked sat down with Armando Calvo and this friend of his and had a live conversation here on YouTube. And let me know if the audio is working. I'm a little rusty on this shit. Wow, Maynard Saves really likes his mushrooms. I'm on my ride home from picking up about 3.5 pounds of chanterelles and a few milky caps, a few russellas, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and some coral mushrooms. That's a lot of mushrooms. It's a lot of fungus. Ryan Donovan says, I caught the live Logic had with Armando and his army buddy earlier today. Didn't get to watch the whole thing through. Okay, cool. I started watching a little bit of it. It looked kind of awkward. That Michael Deaton says, I haven't watched a Logic video since like 2017, but I always liked him. My son watched him a lot at one time. Yeah. I catch his stuff every once in a while. Some stuff that he does, it's like, whatever. And then every once in a while, he'll do something that catches my interest. So here's this video. Like I said, this is not even 10 minutes long, just shy of 10 minutes, and we'll go through it. It's the way that Logic covered it. I found very funny. It was hilarious. Oh, and that's the other thing. So this is on Calvo's Christ Righteous Ministries channel, but he also has another channel that he used to call U.S. Christian Soldier, but now it's called Premium Grunt. Like, okay, neat.
Lord Jesus Christ. It's been quite a while, guys. Welcome back. So I've been very hesitant in sharing this with you guys, mainly because
If you're hesitant, you may not want to share it.
it brings up a certain person whom I've had controversy with. But regardless of that point, I don't want that to stop this testimony that I'm about to share with you guys. So
It wasn't all that controversial.
you guys have obviously heard of the YouTuber by the name of Logicked, and I'm sure most of you guys have come to know me through his channel. So before I share this testimony, I would like to.
That's interesting, as though most of his, that's kind of odd because it would be like the way that he phrased that, it would be like the people that have gone to his channel to watch his channel, like the majority of his audience are people who watched Logic's content and then started watching his content. So that seems kind of odd.
Mention that this will not be for the purpose of grabbing Logic's attention. So let us focus.
Too late. It did.
Focus on the main subject. So of course you guys are already aware that I had
But
joined the United States Army.
oh, and by the way, the controversy that he's referring to when it comes to him and Logic isn't just controversy between him and Logic, and I wouldn't even say it's controversy. It was contention. And it wasn't just from Logic's end, it was also from the YouTuber David Wells, who I mentioned earlier, where they confronted Calvo about his blatant plagiarism. Not only the plagiarism that he was doing on YouTube by literally taking whole Frank Turk arguments and presenting them as his own, but also doing the same thing in his books. or book. Is there 2 books or 1 book? I forget.
And in the Army, there is a variety of different type of people with different backgrounds. And of
Yes, that
course,
goes
individual
without saying.
backgrounds can vary. And of course, my background includes YouTube, a public platform that allows a variety
I like the fact that his background only is YouTube. Like he's just simplified his background as a person before joining the military as being YouTube, and then tells us what YouTube is while we're watching this on YouTube. That seems kind of redundant, but okay.
of different people from all around the world to view video. So, with that out of the way, let us begin.
Thank
So,
God.
after basic training and my initial arrival to my Army base installation, I met some pretty great guys during my in processing. One of them being an individual whom I've created a friendship with. So, for a few months, we had been friends, getting to know each other, growing a solid friendship, and actually becoming pretty close. So, one day, we actually had a conversation with
Wait
a
a minute.
group
Hold
of
on.
other guys. Actually, so for a few months, processing one of the Army base installation, I met some pretty great guys during my in processing.
Okay.
One of
Is M processing to his into basic training or his M processing into his active duty unit? Because you M process to get into basic training, so um, you go to an in processing unit and then you do some shit there, get some more shots, do some you're there for maybe a week if there's no real issues, and then they group you together and then they send you down range to your training company, or they group all everybody up, they send them to different training battalions, you go to a particular training company, and that's pretty much how it goes. um Short and simple. So when he says in processing, I don't know if he's talking about the in processing um in basic training, or the M processing into basic training, or the M processing into his active duty unit. Um, Either way, I know that I guess it's just a detail that I'm just pointing out.
them being an individual whom I've created a friendship with. So for a few months,
That's a weird way of putting that, but okay. So during the time he was in processing, either into basic training or into after basic training in AIT and going to his permanent duty station, he made a friend.
we had been friends, getting to know each other, growing a solid friendship, and actually becoming pretty close. So one day, we actually had a conversation with a group of other guys that actually fell into the category of God. So during this conversation,
Bum bum bum.
I was talking to two other individuals about the evidence for God's existence. And I noticed how my friend was looking at me with curiosity. He was listening to my argumentation and observing my speech, leading him to
Observing his speech.
start asking me certain questions. So at this time, we were actually out at California conducting a national training event.
We were deployed to California to NTSC.
And in this scene, we're
I think that's the acronym, unless they changed it.
actually sitting at the bed of a truck, waiting to get to our destination, to where we were going to conduct some type of cleaning and brass and ammo collecting.
It's called a shit detail. That's a shit detail.
As soon as we arrived to our destination, we
Privates normally after training exercises and stuff like that, they will task individuals to go do cleanup. So they'll have to do range cleanup, police calls, brass and ammo cleanup, and all that kind of shit. It's a pain in the ass. We used to just call, when I was in the Army, we just called it shit detail.
hopped off the bed of the truck and continued the conversation. So after separating from the other individuals that I initially had the conversation with, me and my friend continued to talk about the topic of God, where I was then sharing more evidence for God's existence and the history of Jesus Christ, while also bringing up that I wrote
The history of Jesus Christ. Okay. And the evidence. I don't know. It's anecdotal, so neat.
multiple books. He actually had some great questions and concerns, and of course, he challenged my views with some argumentation of his own. And not to worry, because the conversation
Challenge my views with argumentation, or just challenge your views with questions. Because not all questions are necessarily argumentation.
that we had was actually extremely respectful and actually fun.
Yeah, and I've actually been in on conversations between him and Logic and David Wells and Peter, and those conversations were respectful. I'm sure he probably looks back at them as not being very respectful, but they were. Nobody made fun of him, nobody insulted him, nobody they the conversations were just very argumentative because he was very much trying to defend why it was okay to basically commit plagiarism in his either in his content that he was doing on YouTube or in his book. And they were basically just saying that's not cool. If you're going to do this, I mean, it's one thing to do like your own video and say, look, I'm going to cover these arguments from or some of these arguments from Frank Turek because I really like them and blah blah blah. Great, you can do that. But he wasn't doing that on YouTube. He was reading these things out and people were like, "Oh, great job, really awesome arguments, really great stuff." And they weren't his stuff. It was stuff that he was just reading from Frank Turek and other apologists.
Then this is where everything was getting pretty crazy. He mentioned that he was a
Crazy.
follower of the YouTuber by the name of Logicked. At that moment, I was actually pretty shocked, but not surprised. And for a few seconds,
He was shocked but not surprised. It's funny because Logic pointed that out as well. He goes, shocked but not surprised. Okay. I don't know how a person can be shocked but not surprised.
I was very hesitant in bringing this point up, but I decided to anyways. So I mentioned how I've had some controversial engagements with Logic myself.
No, you had contentious engagements. They weren't controversial engagements.
And then I also revealed that Logic made videos about me. At that point, my friend actually stood in.
Well, they weren't about you. They were about the arguments that you were presenting and the content that you were doing. He wasn't personally attacking you. He was attacking the shit that you were putting out on YouTube. And in some cases, the shit that you were putting out in writing, your book or books.
In shock. So in the military, we go by our last names. So he knows me as Calvo. And most of the time, people don't really know your first name unless you tell them or unless they see some type of documents with your full name and
This
last
is
name.
true.
But he paused for a moment and he looked at me in the eyes and asked, "Are you Armando Calvo? Do you also have a YouTube channel by the name of Christ Righteous Ministries?"
See, and that's weird because the guy asked him, this is kind of odd, and Logic covered this as well because it does seem kind of weird because it's like the guy that he's become friends with did not, if he watched his videos and he watched the videos that Logic did, Logic played videos of Armando Calvo's, and with, obviously Armando Calvo is showing his face. So that's this the way this is kind of being set up is very odd to me. That the guy would see his face, hear his voice, see the last name, and it doesn't connect until at this particular moment in time, based on what Calvo was saying.
And then I looked at him and I said, "Yep, that is me." This was the funny part. As soon as I told him that,
this is where it gets weird to me. This is an odd way of, like, if this actually happened, what he's going to be describing next, if this actually happened, this is bizarre.
His face turned red and he just started screaming at the top of his lungs, jumping with excitement as if he just met a celebrity or something. He started putting his hands on his head, walking in and out of the room, and just in complete shock. And I didn't know what to do, but besides just stand there smiling and laughing.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do either, except possibly say, "What's wrong with you?"
And then he just started telling me how crazy this was, that he actually felt like he was standing in front of a celebrity, and how
he wasn't.
Shocking this was because he watched a lot of Logic's video and he actually seen a lot of the videos that Logic posted about me. He just started going on about how small this was.
I don't know how many videos Logic has done on Calvo, but I think it's only like a handful. And again, they're not about Calvo. They're about Calvo's content. Like, I don't think I've watched a Logic video where Logic personally talks about like who Calvo is, what his history is, or anything. Calvo, like David Wells, they are criticizing his content.
World is, and how it could be that a fan of Logic can bump into a person that has actually been talked about on his channel. And of course, I kind of told him, I'm not a celebrity, but this is shocking. I'm actually really happy that I ran into somebody who actually knows of Logic, a follower and subscriber of his channel.
This is taking a long time. I'm sorry.
I personally never thought I would run into a fan of his, let alone become a friend with one of his fans. So after all of the excitement, we decided to take a walk.
Is he really a fan because he watches his content? Like, I watch Logic's content, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Logic. That I don't know.
And talk about this. So he told me about the initial feeling that he had towards me when he first seen those videos. And his view was that I was crazy, I was stupid, I was unintelligent, and that if he ever saw me, he'd beat the crap out of me.
That's yeah. Now, that's not the impression that I got from Calvo the first time I watched one of his videos. And it wasn't from Logic. I think the first video, I'm trying to remember who introduced me to Calvo. I can't remember if it was Peter or not. But my impression was this is a young guy, and he's trying to basically get views by jumping into the whole presuppositional apologetics on YouTube. And he was doing a shit job of it. Like, there are a lot of atheist YouTubers, non-believers in YouTube that could just basically tear his stuff apart.
He
And they did.
actually had an extreme
Because he didn't have any new arguments. He was just recycling old shit that non-believers had, or opponents of the Christian apologetic groups had already addressed.
extremely negative view on me. But then he actually shared with me that he didn't think that a person that Logicked talked so negatively about on his channel would actually be an incredible friend. He was actually pretty
Because Logic didn't say anything about him being a bad person. Logic was going after his bad ideas. You can have good friends that have bad ideas.
shocked with how accepting, loving, and cool I was in person, which actually led him to apologize to me for judging me based off of a video that another man made about me without actually personally getting to know me first. But of course, I told him he didn't have to apologize. Things happen. It's the internet. People can create a false agenda and a false picture and narrative on anybody they want.
No, they didn't do that at all, because they weren't going after you personally. They were going after your ideas. If that person who is now your friend did that, they're not very mature minded as well, because that's not what Logic and David Wells were doing. They were basically correcting and saying, you don't want to be doing this. This is irresponsible, and people will tear you apart for it, like we have. It's not a good idea. They were willing to sit down and talk to this guy about this stuff for a long time on this issue, about what he was doing on YouTube. And he just would he no, well, see, he would say stuff like, well, see, that's the thing, we Christians, we just share everything. We don't have to give credit where credit is due, because it all belongs to every Christian equally. So I can take whatever Frank Turek says, not even mention Frank Turek's name, just read whole swaths of his content from his books, and then people who aren't familiar with Frank Turek's shit could just, well, if they think it's mine, well, that's on them. But it belongs to the community of Christians as a whole. And no, that's not how that works.
And he actually experienced that firsthand for himself. So during this conversation, I actually shared with him some of the false accusations of my book, God Is. And
They weren't false accusations. David Wells and Logic pointed out where the plagiarism is in those books, especially in God Is. David Wells he did multiple videos pointing that out. And I think so did Logic. They do not put that book in a very good light. And again, going after the book is not doing a video about Armando Calvo personally, about who he is, or anything about where he lives, or maybe he's just a shitty guy who has a shitty life, and this is how he's trying to get attention. No, they're just going after what it is that he's trying to present. They are criticizing his arguments. Well, in some cases, the arguments that he's presenting, the way that he's presenting arguments as though they are his own when they weren't his own.
conscious universe, being able to actually clarify and verify the rights of my material, which actually led him to respect me so much more, so much so that he actually wanted one of my books. So, of course, I gave him one for free. Now, a few days after that initial conversation, we actually had a conversation over the Oculus Quest. It's a virtual reality gaming console. We were actually playing Among Us, where we actually started talking about that whole situation again. During this conversation, he actually expressed to me how he felt about me. He actually expressed how good of a friend I was. He actually expressed how much he respected me. And he
Was he drunk? This sounds like something a person would do when drunk. Yo, man, you're like so cool, dude. You're like the best friend I ever had, you know. You're like not like what these guys thought, like the way they presented you.
told me about the expression that his friend had when he told him about what happened. His friend was also a Logic fan. And what really touched my heart was this. He told me how he told
Yeah, if I put myself in that position of the other friend, now this third person, I would I would have just been like, yeah, he can be a good guy, but still have shit ideas. That's not completely out of the realm of just because a person's a good person, just because you're friends with a person doesn't mean that now their arguments and everything that they do, everything that they present is now somehow gold or it's valid. I used to have I met a guy in the army. We became pretty good friends. He was a devout Christian. I was a devout Christian, and we had differences about. We had all sorts of soteriological differences, differences in our eschatology, especially differed a lot when it came to the topic of tithing, but we still remained friends.
his friend that everything that Logic posted about me was false and not true. The false narrative that is depicted in his videos are all false.
The narrative is there is no narrative about you personally. That what's being and you notice he's not actually bringing that up. He's not actually showing like this is what he said about me. This is how this is wrong, because what Logic and specifically what Logic was doing was not going after Armando personally, but going after Armando. You're using other people's shit as though it's your own.
That he should get to know the person first and understand his position before he
No, you do not have to get to know a person to understand that what they are doing is possibly not right, or you have objections to what it is that they're saying. You don't have to know them personally.
accepts any type of false narrative. And then he told him that he was extremely happy that he met me, that I have been such a great friend to him. And what struck me most was this, that he told him that he would even be willing to lay down his life for me.
Oh, I don't know what it is about that shit. That is just. Ugh.
That I am so much of a friend to him that he would even be willing to lose his life for my life's sake.
Every soldier, if you are going into the infantry, you should be going in with the understanding that you are willing to lay down your life for not only your country, but also for the people that you are fighting next to. That is a fucking given.
And that touched my heart. That made me realize how much of an impact I had on a person's life. Regardless of what the false narrative told him about me, I was able
The false narrative that he didn't this guy basically thought that Logic was going after Armando personally when Logic was going after Armando's content. Yeah, I would say that that person is did not really understand what Logic was doing.
to make a different impact on his life in person. And that means the world to me. And that
Okay, I don't know how you
actually changed his perspective on judging a person before actually getting to know them.
again, no one was judging you as a person. some people had their opinions about possibly who you might be as a person, given the fact that you kept insisting on defending your plagiarism. But the main attack, the main confrontation was the fact that you were plagiarizing other people's shit.
And knowing the truth. And he's even admitted that he no longer believes anything that was published about me. And regardless of that, even if he did, I wouldn't really care because anybody could post anything about anybody and create a false narrative about anything, and that doesn't matter.
I am so glad that when I was in the army, there was none of this bullshit.
It cannot make me or break me. It's just a silly narrative based
Actually, yes, there are things that can be put on the internet that can break you. People have been broken before on stuff that's been put out on the internet about them.
on somebody's opinion. But the fact that it affected him in this way demonstrates to me that you just can't accept anything that is said on the internet without meeting the person first and without understanding both sides. And according to his words, he now admits that he can see that every video that he's watched about me were all just lies.
Let's see, that's
He sees that they were manipulative narratives that they created about me just to try to put me down.
they weren't. No, see, this to me is a false narrative that he's weaving right now because I I have watched the videos of Logic and I have watched the videos from David Wells. I watched a video from Emma Thorne. They were not coming up with ways to make him look like a bad person or to put him in a bad light in society that no one would accept him personally for who he is. They were attacking his ideas.
I couldn't have asked for a better way to meet a person like this. And I'm absolutely grateful.
But I thought you guys had already met during in processing. So that's a kind of another inconsistency because he said that they met during in processing. Now he didn't, because some people that I went to basic training and I went through OSUT the same as him, got one station unit training, and there were guys that I went through basic training in AIT with that I was stationed with. We ended up getting stationed in the same unit. My friend that I was talking about, who was a fellow Christian, and along with myself, and we differed on soteriology, eschatology, and specifically tithing. We went to basic training together. He bunked right next to me in basic training. But now he's like, "Oh, this is an interesting way to meet a person." I thought you had already been establishing this friendship long before.
Grateful to have met this man because he's an extremely cool guy. And honestly, he's a great friend. And I'd be more than willing to.
Yeah, and all of that can happen. You can be a great friend, he can be a great friend to you, and he can still come after your bullshit ideas. He can still say, "Hey, dude, yeah, I watched that Logic video, and what you were doing when it came to presenting these arguments as your own, or well, you were basically doing these videos in a way that people could miss." That was the other thing. So nobody, when David Wells first did a video on this, and I think Logic did too, they didn't personally come out and just accuse him outright of plagiarism. They were pointing out that this could be seen as that this is plagiarism. He might be making a mistake by doing this, just an honest mistake, and doesn't realize what he's doing. But when they confronted him on it, he just doubled down and said, "No, I'm not."
To give my life for him if it ever came to it. I'm actually thinking about having him on the channel to talk about his whole experience with this. Now he still hasn't become
Whole experience with what? The fact that you guys are good friends, but people on the internet have attacked your ideas and your arguments. Not much really to really go over there, buddy.
a Christian. Okay, he still hasn't been fully drawn to God yet, but I believe by the grace of God, by the power of the Holy Spirit, that he will come to know Christ. But I hope that when you hear the story from his side,
I thought everybody knew Christ. Isn't that the presuppositional argument? Everybody knows God. Isn't Jesus God? Sorry, said to throw that in there.
that you guys can finally understand and develop the ability to slow down judgment before getting to know both sides and both persons.
You don't have to get to know a person personally to go after their ideas and what it is that they're presenting.
People create false narratives all the time, and we see this on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. You're just
Even with
reiterating
the
the same.
assassination attempt on Donald Trump, you have people claiming that it's a setup, and you have people claiming that it
How did
actually
he
happened.
go here?
But then you also have those people, those disgusting individuals that wish it actually hit Donald Trump. So no matter what,
Um, that's a weird place to go. That in this conversation about him and his belief that people were literally creating false narratives about him personally, this would equate to somebody who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. That's a weird place to go, my dude.
people are going to hate you, dislike you because of your
I don't think Logic and David Wells even remotely care. I don't think they hate you. I've met you and talked to you. I don't hate you. You don't, just because you don't like someone's ideas and you may not get along with someone, even personally, doesn't mean you hate them. It just means you don't get along with them and you don't particularly like their ideas and the way they present them. You just leave them. You can continue to uh, criticize their ideas, especially if they're putting it out there on YouTube or whatever. Either way, it's up to you. But this idea that you either like someone or you either love someone or you hate them, that's a false dichotomy. You can be completely indifferent to someone. And in my opinion, David Wells and Logic and even myself and other people who've done stuff, they're indifferent to his personality and to who he is personally and to however he conducts himself in real life, what kind of a, how he is in whether he's married, really married, supposedly, I guess he has a kid, how good of a father he is, whatever has no bearing on the content that he produced and them criticizing that content.
beliefs, because of your perspective. But just remember this, it doesn't matter. Nobody can take away the hope that is within you. Nobody can steal you away from the grace of God. And absolutely nobody can steal you away from the love of Christ. So people can say what they want to
Yeah.
say, claim what they want to claim, but the truth is always going to remain. But I hope you guys enjoyed this short testimony.
Yeah. No. All right. Yeah, I'll bet. Okay, Jay, who is this friend and fan of Logic he is referring? It is a guy that he met, according to him, when they were in processing together. Now, whether they were in processing together going into basic training, or whether it is they met during in processing when Armando they were in processing into the same permanent duty station, that I don't know. Either way, that's how they started to get to know one another. And then supposedly during this whole NTC thing, when they were at NTC, yeah, it's not NTSC. What is it? NTC. Uh, yeah, NTC. I think I called it NTSC, but it's NTC. It's NTC. It's in Fort Irwin, California. It's a national training center for joint readiness. No, that's the thing, Abed. It's not an imaginary friend because now we're going to get to this was just some history before we actually get to um, Logicked. I'm not going to go over Logicked because Logicked covered this video as well, the one I was just playing. But today, Logicked actually had a conversation with El Mondo Calvo and El Mondo Calvo's friend.
see if it's working. Yeah, I think we are live.
Cool.
So, hello everybody, and hello to both of you. How are things?
Hello.
It's going well. Living life.
Going
Excellent.
pretty good.
I see things have been going pretty well. Like you joined the army, Calvo, and actually I thought that was a pretty respectable thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I thought that was cool. So, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, and he did actually say that in a video. So remember that false narrative that Calvo was talking about. Oh, this is a false that they've made all these false narratives about me. No, if I remember correctly, Logic did actually commend Calvo for joining the military. When he started talking about joining the military, I was like, okay, this is interesting. And the way that he was kind of talking about it and presenting himself and how he was, because he was like dressing up in these like fatigues and like trying to make himself onto like kind of like this pseudo spec op kind of person, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be going in special forces, and I'm like, wait a minute, you can join as that's a way to join as an option. And then he ended up doing that, and I'm like, and then he ended up not going the special forces route, but just basically defaulted to being a 11 Boo. 11 Bravo, which is standard infantry. Because I don't think he has a designator as an 11 Charlie, which is mortars. That's what I did when I was infantry.
Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect here, but here you are, and it's cool.
Yeah, glad to be here. Look forward to the conversation. So.
Yeah, I can tell by the sound of your voice. It already sounds a little strained.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the mic, but either way.
Now I know what to call you. I'll call you Calvo. I don't know what to call your friend here.
Mike.
All right.
Yep.
I'm gonna write that down because I'm bad at names.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you write that down.
All right. So
Army buddy
so how's
equals
the family,
Mike.
Calvo.
Family's doing great, man. No,
Awesome.
son's getting older.
Yeah.
Getting older a little too fast, so but everything's going great, man. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it's been a while.
He
hasn't
sounds
it, since
defensive,
you
doesn't
became
he?
a father. It's been a while.
Yes.
The one thing that I was always amazed by with Calvo is he kind of, there's kind of a veneer to this kid, right? There's this kind of, I don't know, like he's got a stick up his ass kind of thing. And it's like he's trying to present a professional air, but it just comes off very cold and not genuine.
Yes, it has.
Maybe that's just me.
It's not
Like,
gonna
must be a
three
couple
since,
years
so.
at least, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Kind of a big adventure.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not that, but they're not that big of an adventure. Of course, when I joined the military, I wasn't moving. I wasn't doing so with having a fiance and a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great experience. So.
But the Army pays for all that. They pay for your move and all that shit.
Yeah. I just want to ask the chat: is anybody too quiet or anything? Do I need to turn anybody up or down or anything like that? I don't see anybody saying anything's super
Is he drinking
wrong
water
here,
out
so
of a
I guess
wine
we're all
glass?
right.
That's weird.
Okay,
Just so everybody knows, I'm driving right now, so
yeah, don't crash.
you hear me get a little frustrated because of freaking
Crazy
traffic.
car accident goes off in the background.
Are we gonna hear some road
Calvo,
rage?
yeah?
We're gonna hear
I
some
hope
road
not.
rage. I'm like that too.
Wait, they scheduled this and he had to try. Okay.
Yeah. So
This is,
I guess
again, I have not watched. I watched like the first few seconds of this, like maybe the first minute. Now we're 2 minutes and 33 seconds in, and ugh. You guys want me to do a video where I watch paint dry?
I guess I'll ask Mike then. What are we here to talk about?
As suppose the actual NTC events of me meeting Calvo, where I don't sound like a total goober. I guess there was some goober activities going on, but
Goober activities.
uh-huh.
Okay.
I wouldn't use military vernacular with somebody who doesn't understand what that is. But the goober shit was coming from his friend Calvo, because that story that he told about how he met Mike here, his army buddy, is a little weird, to say the least.
Okay.
He told me that he would lay down my life for me. I mean, the story is kind of cringe. It's a little cringe.
So that's in reference to my video that came out, I guess 2 days ago now.
Like 2 days ago, yeah.
I guess what
So,
What goober activity? Yeah, now he's gonna ask what goober activities are you specifically referring to?
what's the issue?
well, all right. So there were some things that were true in there. There were some things that weren't true.
On whose side?
Some things were like embellished. I don't know. Some things are kind of like supposed to be a little private, but I mean, it's all right. Like I wasn't like too mad about it. I was just kind of like,
But that wouldn't be from Logick's end. That'd be from Calvo's end.
didn't ask, and also like,
Yeah, maybe this this is this is awkward.
told a little wrong, but I mean that's about it. I mean,
Told a
like,
little wrong.
found out about it because I wake up pretty early for PT in the morning for the army. So like, and we don't have service in our building. So I'm like scrolling through like the offline posts on Facebook because you get bored waiting for formation. And then I see like a Logicked video like that you shared on like Facebook or something, or promotion or something, and it was like another Calvo video, and I was like, oh, he made another video about Calvo, and I like read the description, and it was like, I was like, oh, he made a video about me. What the fuck?
Yeah, and that's the thing, because according to Logic, he didn't get any notification about this. People that watch Logic stuff sent him the link.
So
Yeah, that's unexpected.
yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah, and if I had done, now here's the thing, and thinking back to like when I was in the military, if I had, that's why I said I'm glad that there wasn't social media when I was in the military. But let's say that there was. If I had done what Calvo had done on his stream back then with somebody that I considered someone that I met and developed a close friendship with, and talked about that person the way that Calvo was, I would never hear the end of it.
I'm gonna try to not.
The homosexual rhetoric alone would have been, because this was the 90s, would have been off the fucking chain.
Cuss to keep this like monetized for you or whatever, but
It's
if
fine.
something slips
It's
out,
fine. Say
yeah,
whatever
something-
you want. I don't care.
I'm not trying to have you like bleep a bunch of stuff out. So I mean,
Well, I mean, if you start like yelling the N word, I might have a problem. But short of that, I
oh
think
no,
you're
no,
fine.
no. We don't do that. We don't do that.
I know you don't.
No, I'm not
I
gonna
don't
do
expect
that.
that you will.
Jesus
but I'm
fucking
just
Christ.
saying. That's about the only point at which I have some sort of a.
Yeah. I wasn't quite thinking that, but Michael Deaton, Jesus fucking Christ, did we just pull these two out of the holler?
a problem.
Now, again, like I said, I only watched like the first minute of this, and I could already tell it seemed like it was going to be kind of awkward, because again, Calvo did a video, and you notice Calvo hasn't said anything now for a good couple minutes now. Mike here, the army buddy, has been saying it's been mostly between Logicked and the army buddy. But again, like I said, this would not have gone well and not just for me if I had done this when I was in the Army, for anyone that I served with and had pulled the same kind of thing. They would have gotten just the level of mockery would have been just insane. Childish, just beyond infantile, but non-stop.
Well, I guess I'll just get into the story about that I told you guys yesterday.
I guess for context, though, people, I obviously talked to you previously, but for other people, like, what's, how do you guys know each other? Like, what's sort of the backstory here?
So
Let's see if this matches
the
up.
backstory here is we both joined the Army around the same time, and we eventually got to the same base and the same unit, right? At first, me and Calvo, like, we were like, I'd say we were like more like acquaintances, wouldn't you say, Calvo? Like, I mean, you were like more friends with like McBlunt, or yeah, you were more friends with the other, like, our other guy, and then yeah, and I was more friends with the other guy, and then like we all have families, so we would all like mutually meet up and like have picnics and whatever, and let the kids kind of hang out. Yeah, and I've actually known about Calvo for years, because I've been an avid like Logicked fan for a long time. I mean, I kind of stopped watching a lot of stuff on YouTube altogether, just because life got busy. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah, no kidding.
pretty well into adulthood now. Yeah, so yeah, so I straight up, I did not recognize him, you know, because he used to have like a goatee going on in the videos, and now, like, I mean, the Army like cleans you
Oh, that's
up.
true. I
dude. Like,
forgot
mean,
about that.
Yeah,
yeah.
so I mean, I don't know.
And that's the other thing too, because some people may not talk the same way. Like I said, there's a way that Calvo presents himself on video that may not be the way that he presents himself in real life. So that might be another thing that throws people off.
Facial hair does a lot, I guess. I don't know. I also like.
It does. I
wasn't,
mean,
like,
if you look
religiously
at
watching.
all these comic books and stuff, it's like you got the guy and then the evil version of the guy, and nobody can recognize him with a goatee on, you know?
Yeah. So like, I mean, it was kind of like that, you know. I just never pieced it together. I always thought that he looked like familiar, but I just didn't put too much thought in it, because why would I? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I just was not tracking. But
Yeah.
that's all I
So
know.
you
Calvo.
genuinely just didn't
Had no idea.
recognize him because of that.
No.
Yeah, you probably didn't watch like some of the later stuff, I guess, maybe.
No. I was thinking you only had like 4 videos.
Yeah.
Out about him.
There's
I just checked yesterday, and you have like a whole.
There's well, it's. I mean, we can get like, look, we got you here, Calvo. We can get into talking about things like that if we want to at some point, but for now, you know, it's mainly about I guess Mike's thoughts on the last one, mainly for now.
As far as that topic, personally, I don't want to get into. Kind of just over it. I've moved on from all that stuff. So
Yeah.
like,
moved on from what stuff? He's talking about the video. Isn't he talking about the video from that he just did?
It's all
we're
good, man.
here just for this whole, you know, my buddy here, that situation. That's
Yeah.
it. And I do.
Well, you made this. Wait a minute, Armando. You created this situation by doing that video. You didn't need to do that video. Like, does he ever really think about the consequences of what he's doing in regards to not only him, but also because that's the thing. This isn't going to stay in a what he did wasn't going to stay in a vacuum, right? It got to Logicked by other people who watch Logic's videos, watch his content. They could be fans, they're subscribers, whatever. And I'm subscribed to Logic's shit. It's nothing to subscribe to someone's content. You get notifications, you watch or you don't watch. But anyway, somebody found this from Christ Righteous Ministries, from Calvo's YouTube, and then shared it with Logic. There's nothing stopping this from going around, even in a barrack situation or in a military unit. It'll get around. So you have to be very careful about. That's basically the same thing as doing a journal or doing a diary, and then somebody finding it and then reading it out in front of the entire platoon, talking about your personal feelings about shit, and then having a good laugh at it at your expense. What was that, hon? It's why I recommend guys, for people who are in the infantry, don't write your personal feelings down in a journal. Don't do journaling. Somebody finds that shit, they'll fuck you up with it.
You want to clarify
And they don't even have to hate you to do it. They'll just fuck you up with it.
something? He told me before we started this chat that somebody by the name of like Jehovah something claiming to be my editor, stating that I was like lying and crap, but like I've never had an editor. I do my own stuff, so I'm not.
Yeah, I'm also not a plant. You guys will. I'm sure you guys will hear that and be like, "Yeah, this guy's not."
When I announced this through the community post, the comments were wild. Like the speculation was just off the wall. People all over the place.
Well, but that's the thing. Given the stuff that Calvo has done, a lot of people would speculate in that way, because people don't know when to really take someone like Calvo seriously or not, because he gives this kind of fake veneer of seriousness, and you don't know whether or not he would do this. He would have this like, oh yeah, and he would present these kind of like arguments, these Christian apologetic arguments, like he had invested so much time and effort in establishing and then sharing with his viewers on YouTube. And then you got people like David Wells who goes, excuse me, those aren't yours. And then he's like, well, they're everybody's, because the Christian community kind of owns everybody's shit equally. And like, I don't think Frank Turek is going to probably agree with that. And then I think Calvo actually did a video one time, I think he took it down, where he actually tried to make the case that he had some kind of correspondence with Frank Turek, and Turek said, that's fine. Now, even if it was the case that there was correspondence between Calvo and Turek, if any, but let's say there was, how did Calvo present it to Turek? Did he tell Turek that he was repeating his arguments and telling his audience, by the way, these are arguments from Frank Turek that I happen to actually agree with, and actually very much, and I respect Frank Turek for the way that he argues and the way he's a defender of the Christian faith? No, that's not what he did at all.
With all sorts of guesses about how this was going to go. Yeah, no, I believe you about the Drow for Jehovah account. That account is, as far as I can tell, just some random person having fun, just trolling around.
It's not the first though. I've had people make fake accounts of me asking people for money.
Yeah, there've always been theories about that account. Like people thinking, oh, this is Almondo. This is Levy. This is
that's a good point.
Mom
too.
Or his wife, or like all these wild things.
Yeah, yeah. So Nicholas says, it's not relevant. Sure, he put Logick's name in the video, but it's not relevant to Logick's channel or videos. Yeah, I mean and I agree with what Nicholas is saying there, because he turned around. He said, "Oh, I met this Logicked fan," and then in Calvo's video where he's talking about how he met his friend supposedly, or very briefly, then he starts talking about how Logicked basically came up with these full-on false narratives about him personally. Yeah, I would say that's relevant. Oh, I don't want this to get Logick's. I don't want this to get Logick's attention. It got someone's attention, and you mentioning him by name, at least his username.
Things, or you know, or the most plausible one, which is just it's a troll, some random person, you know, having fun.
Rando.
So, I don't know. yeah. Anyway, I guess
I can't believe this. I can't believe there's another 50 minutes of this. Let's see
I
if
guess
this
that's
speeds
it.
up.
It's good that you clarify that though, because I think, I don't know. I will say, that person was in the comments on that community post, like drumming up controversy about how you've been lying this entire time to your church and your editor, and oh my God, the army buddy actually exists or something, and it's just like it's drumming up drama, and I'm like, well, I mean, if nothing else, I guess it's good content.
Sorry. Personally, I did my best. Nothing against you, but I would have never mentioned you at all if it had nothing to do with you. If it was like a different YouTuber that he mentioned and stuff, I probably would have told the story with a different YouTuber. But I've kind of just been trying to stay away.
You would never. You took the time to mention him multiple times that Mike there is a Logicked follower and fan.
That, I guess, that end of the stick. Because I know we've had our discussions and
Yeah.
all that.
No, I get
And
it.
how cool it was that these guys, how the two of you could become the bestest of friends is, in light of the fact that Logicked had, according to you, besmirched you personally with false accusations.
Get it. Like you're a dad, you're a husband, you're in the army, you got life going on. I get it.
Yeah, and if you notice, I haven't really posted as frequently as I used to. So yeah.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. This again. Like I said, I was personally involved or there in a Discord chat between Logicked, David Wells, and I think Peter DeTucker was there, and Omando Calvo was there. The conversation was respectful and it went perfectly fine. They did not make fun of him. They did not mock him personally. I've never seen a video, unless somebody can prove me wrong and show me where they either David Wells or Logicked or even Peter DeTucker mocked Calvo for who he is personally. They specifically went after what he was doing, what his content, how he was presenting these arguments, and how he would and how he was promoting this book that was supposed to be like the end all be all to shut up all non-believers when it came to the existence of the God of the Bible, the Christian God.
Yeah, I'm busy, man. My life's been pretty busy. So.
No, I can tell,
Also,
even though you're not posting like that, that indicates something already. The fact that you're obviously out there doing it, right? Yeah. But I guess we should get back to the actual point of this, eh? So, I don't know where we want to start here, kind of, but I guess what's the backstory of the event in that last video?
You asking me?
Whoever wants to talk, I guess. Mike primarily, I suppose, but
yeah, I'll go. So we went to the National Training Center out in California, and basically, like, we were put on a detail called Hands in the Desert at the end of it.
Yeah.
Where you go clean up like brass, ammo, like stuff left behind.
Hands across the desert. I think that's what they called it when I was in. I never went to NTC. I served with guys that went to NTC. They said it sucked.
Sucks pretty bad. You're just like in the back of an LMTV all day, like stopping and like picking stuff up. So when you're driving, we don't have our phones. Like nobody's like just hanging out on their phones the whole time. So you just kind of get into these conversations, when you don't have your phones for a long time. And like I was across the LMTV from him and this other guy, and I was just listening to them talk. And Calvo was talking about they're talking about religion, something that you normally like wouldn't talk about in like a work setting, but I mean you're out in the field and you get into some weird conversations. And this other guy was talking about how he believes in every god, like Jormungandr and like Ymir and Kali and like the Christian God and the Islamic God.
I think I met that person on YouTube.
And I'm just sitting there like, Jesus Christ, this is rough to like listen to. And so is Calvo, because Calvo is like, I don't know, man, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you believe in like every god, like it's kind of okay. Like he's like, and then he said he's like, yeah, I'm a Christian apologist for my other career. Like this is what I do, is I like debate people or whatever.
His other career? Did Calvo say it was his career? His other career was being a Christian apologist. That's a huge red flag.
I was like, kind of like started like squinting at him, and I was like, why do I like know you? But like I've known him for months at this point. But I was like, I feel like I know you differently. I don't know how to explain that. Like the gears started like turning in my head, and I was just kind of squinting out. And I was like, all right. And then we like, I don't even know what made me ask. I didn't know his first name, so I never like was like, are you Armando? But we ended up stopping and started cleaning up brass, and we started hanging out while we were doing that. And I just looked at him. I was like, hey man, do you know who Logicked is? Like a YouTuber? And he just kind of like was like, Yes, I do. Yes, I do know who that is. I know Logic very well, and I was like, oh my!
No, he doesn't probably know Logicked personally all that well, but he does know Logic's objections to Calvo's shit.
I'm not even gonna lie. I did spaz out a little bit. My face did not get red. Maybe it was red from the sun. All right, but I did spaz. Dude, you don't got your phones and you're sleep deprived, and like, I don't know who I would tell about this anyways, but I was just like, oh my god, you're the fucking guy, dude. Like, what is happening right now? Like, this is like, yeah, it kind of was like meeting a celebrity a little bit. I'm gonna be honest.
I think it's a great idea. House sitters get somewhere to stay, and we, the house owners, get someone.
Like,
oh, you're that fuckwit.
I don't know. I guess like
you really don't expect it.
It's just like I was fucking like, what are the odds of this happening right now? Like, I've known about you for years. We just so happen to join the same MOS, and went to the National Training Center at the same time, same unit. Like, what are the actual odds of this happening right now?
Not great.
Mine was just like totally like so astronomically low. I don't know. I explained it to you yesterday, but it's kind of like if like
no. See, here's the other thing though, because I'm already seeing that there's a little discrepancy in what Calvo was saying, because Calvo said that they met in like during in-processing together, but that's not what Mike said. Mike said that they joined the army. They joined the army at the same time, and they ended up at the same duty station. That's not necessarily the same thing as them having gotten to their permanent duty station at the same time and went through in-processing together, because that happens as well. Once you do in-processing, you go down range, you go to basic training, you do your AIT. If that's infantry OSET, that's kind of infantry training. That's kind of how that works. Then you get your time off, you get some leave, you go home, you've got your orders to go to your permanent duty station, you report to your permanent duty station, and there's an in-processing stage when you get to your permanent duty station. So you go like to a reception, that's what they call it, like a reception battalion or a reception company, and you do this initial in-processing there, and you go to main issue. Basically, you go to this facility where they issue you your gear, and then they assign you to a battalion and your company. So that's an in-processing, right? The way Calvo, so for me, since I know how that works, when Calvo was saying we went through in-processing together, that's what I was thinking. Either they were doing in-processing together going into basic training, or they met they had basically been assigned to the same permanent duty station, went through in-processing together, and got stuck in the same unit, happened to get assigned to the very same unit.
Leafy made a video about somebody like years ago, and then somehow you like started working at like your job with them at the same time. And then you just like were like, when they're like, oh, you know who Leafy is? And they're like, yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, I spazzed out a little bit. So
yeah. So at this point, here's something that came up in the video, okay? And I'm just gonna ask if this is true or not. Like, did you want to beat the shit out of Calvo?
No, I didn't want to beat. I told him that yesterday. I never said that. I never said that I was gonna beat him up.
Yeah, I feel like that's a bit of a slight exaggeration, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not a.
Oh, see, so you got to be careful of those little stories you tell.
No, I'm not like a fucking barbarian.
And by the way, I in no way would endorse anyone doing that at all. That's completely ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
well, you should have smacked him upside the back of the head for being a bonehead for saying it.
No, I didn't want to beat him up. I think I told him. I did tell him though that this whole interaction, like this experience, has completely changed how I view people online. Because watching those videos and like videos like that prior to this experience, like I was thinking in my head, like how are these people walking around with their brain telling their lungs how to like inhale? You know what I mean? Like I was like, this doesn't. Like I've never met people like this, so I don't understand how people are just like in the wild like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're seeing a narrow aspect of a person's life, I suppose. Like I can understand that. So I guess the question is, before you figured out.
But again, you have to separate it too, because if you're watching something like Calvo's videos and you're expecting the person to be genuine when they're doing their content, then that can cause that issue. I have never, when I've watched Calvo's stuff and the way that he presents himself, especially when he's talking about these topics, I've never taken him as being genuine. Just the way that he presents himself, his tone, the way that he talks to you, it seems very rehearsed. Yeah, my wife said forced. She's been privy to those, to some of those videos. And so I don't know what Calvo would be like outside of the YouTube sphere, or the way that he presents himself either on YouTube or the way that he presented himself, especially when we had our conversation, the two of us on Discord. He might put on this act. He puts on this cover, and then, oh, this is I got to be Christian apologist mode. And this isn't really who he is. This is a persona that he puts on in order to have these conversations, because he thinks that this is a better way of presenting himself that makes it look more, I don't know, makes his maybe makes his argumentation seem more viable or more valid. I don't fall for that at all.
About who he was, what was your attitude towards him? Like, from what I've heard,
He's
you were
great
like,
guy.
this dude's a good guy, right?
No, he's a great guy, great soldier. He got promoted early. He's a
Yeah.
great father. He's a
Yeah.
great husband. Like
Yep.
I don't know. Like you know what I mean? Like to your viewers, like
Mhm.
if you met him, you'd be like, this is a squared away individual. Like total. I don't know what's going on in the online life. That's honestly none of my business. I don't
Mhm.
really bring that up. You know what I mean? But like I try to keep that separate.
Yeah.
Because I mean, realistically, it's none of my business. You know, people can think what they want. I have a different ideology. That's okay. You know, everybody has different ideologies.
Yeah, and I think this is
So-
something that that people need to remember, is like, you are not seeing an entire human being
Yeah. No, he's
on
a
the
great guy.
internet. Like, you
I'm
are,
not saying,
however,
like-
I mean, there's two different aspects to this. You're not seeing the whole person, but you are seeing something about the person, right?
Yeah.
So when you're seeing someone in video saying something, I mean, they said it in a video. When you're reading something in a book someone wrote, I mean, they did in fact write the book. So in that sense, like, those things are factually true.
No,
But of
yeah.
course, you can't summarize someone's entire existence just based on those things. That's not going to work, because obviously, people are more complicated than that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like I just try to separate that. I learned a long time ago that bringing up religion or like politics and stuff like that in the workplace usually doesn't go well.
Mhm.
So I mean, I just don't do that. And as far as I know, from him, other than the video, great guy. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know.
I guess the
I'm not
question
sitting there
is, like,
Hey,
you've
Homer Simpson. But,
yeah,
sorry,
right. You've seen some of the stuff though. Like, I guess one thing that came up in the video was that you basically decided everything I ever said was false.
no, I never said that.
Right.
But like, I'm not here to like.
No,
I don't
I'm
know.
not like challenging
what
you
I'm
on it.
saying?
I'm just asking, like,
Yeah.
is that
No,
really a
No, I didn't say that. I said the perception that I had of him from the video was false.
right?
But
Like, as a
I
personality.
don't know. I don't really know too much about anything else in regards to what he's saying in the videos. I didn't bother even watching the newer ones.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I think I did see like 3 or 4 of them a while ago when I was at work. I used to like just put your videos on, kind of like a podcast in my headphones and walk around at work.
So
This conversation is really
so
boring.
what was the point of the video anyway, Calvo? I don't really understand. Like, guess
Here we go.
it was like
That's why
a
I get
testimony, sort of. I don't really like understand the motivation there.
So to answer that question, it was more of just like the experience I had.
Okay.
But same way that my buddy here felt, it was kind of like the same way that I felt. Like, it was just pretty shocking, to run into
Yeah.
somebody who knows of you and kind of has told me that he's
Yeah, but what about the other stuff that you brought up in the video? The stuff where you basically, let's see where they go with
these
that.
videos of me, such a small world. So like, it was just the whole experience and interaction that I had with this gentleman. So it's like,
Yeah.
just wanted to talk about it. Like I said, I was actually iffy about posting the video because your name would have been brought up, and I already knew what was going to happen once your name was brought up. So
Grab a
but I
Zoom.
decided to make a video anyways. Just talk about it. And I've told my buddy here as well, that I apologize for the exaggeration on some of the parts. Some of the conversation, he definitely hit.
The interesting thing is he's apologizing for the exaggeration, but he edited that video. That video wasn't done. It wasn't done like in real time. It wasn't. It's an edited video, which means he went back and listened to what he was doing and spliced it and put it together in segments to create the narrative that he wanted to create for that. So, I mean, I can see, like, when you're doing these kind of things, like right now, I'm doing this live stream. I have to think up my responses, right here, right now, kind of thing. He went back and edited those videos or that video to create that narrative. So that to me tells me that he got exactly, he was doing exactly what he wanted. He was presenting this narrative exactly the way that he wanted to present it. So it's really hard to say, it's really hard for me to kind of say, you're going to apologize for exaggerating certain claims that you were making, but you weren't doing this on the fly. You might have been doing it on the fly at the time, but then you went back and edited it to get the final product.
The nail on the head a lot better than I had. I don't fully 100%.
Here's how I went from this to this. Honestly, it was pretty easy with Stitch Fix, where I have a personalized stylus.
Jesus.
Remember word for word conversation. I actually totally forgot about the way that it was kind of introduced. Like, you know, Logicked. I was like, yeah. And it was like, wait, you're that dude. Like, totally forgot how that interaction exactly went. So I kind of just like revised story in a way. But yeah, that was more the intention. It was just out of excitement.
I think that was the thing that people, and that I mean, I'll just say, like, I found it very implausible in the way that it was presented. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Just sort of it was the delivery of it, right? And to be honest, that's the case a lot of the time, I think. There's a reason that people find your videos more compelling
Yes,
than
Peter,
most
I'm live again.
Christian apologists. I think people find there to be a tendency of a lot of exaggeration and sort of implausibility, and maybe sort of trying to big yourself up more than is warranted by the actual thing, perhaps. Yeah. And I'm really trying to not be a dick here, right? I want to like.
Good, man. What you like?
Okay.
I don't think you want him to
so,
say what he wants.
There's also this part in the video, which I can believe, about Mike, you telling Calvo that you take a bullet for him and all this kind of stuff.
So we were playing Among Us, and on VR. We were playing Among Us on VR. That was real too. I know you guys were like, oh, I didn't have. Yeah, no, that's real.
That's one of the more believable parts, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, we were
like that kind of level of detail. It's like, oh, well, either it's more detail just to be believable, or it's just like believable detail. I mean, there's a reason people use detail to make things believable, and in this sense, it's like, why would you make that up? People play Among Us.
That's real too. I stand by that too. Yeah, I mean, like, you know,
but again, if you're going in and you're purposely joining the military, especially as an infantry soldier, if you don't have it in your head that you're going in to possibly lay down your life for country and for the people that you're fighting with, it's just it's a given. I mean, at least that was kind of the ethos that a lot of us had being in the infantry. We understood that even regardless of our differences and our different backgrounds and stuff, when we were being trained and if it came down to going into combat, all we had was each other. We had to support one another, and we were, in defense of our country and in defense of ourselves, of each other.
A lot of people are making jokes about like, oh, you might as well like get out on one knee or whatever and like marry him, or like there's like a romance here. No, we both got families, like it's not even like that. But like, yeah, I mean, like, so
hey, no, it can still happen even if you're married.
So a lot of people in your comments, by the way, I wanted to address it. They were calling Calvo, they're calling him a pogue, or saying he was like a reservist. No, he's 11 series active duty. He's an 11 Bravo. So I'm gonna squash that right there. And like, our job is to go out and, I mean, deal with America's enemies, I suppose. I don't want to like be like, oh, Army guy type thing. A lot of people were like ripping on him about that. But yeah, so I mean, there's like kind of a brotherhood there that isn't really with a lot of other jobs, I suppose, in the Army. And like, that's what we do, is like your front lines, So I mean, yeah, I told him, I had a couple of drinks in me, and I was like, we're playing Among Us. At the end of it, we hadn't really like.
I was right.
YouTube Logic thing.
I said, I bet somebody was drinking.
Like I said, I was trying to separate that, but I had a couple of drinks in me, and I was like, hey man, regardless on what is going on in that like online part of your life, with Logicked or whatnot, like I would be so proud to like have you in my platoon, when we go out and do whatever we need to do, and I would take a bullet for you. I did say that. That's real.
Oh, so they're not even okay. So what he's basically saying, they're not even in the same platoon.
He's not being a big old narcissist with that one, making that up. I said that, and I stand by it.
Cool.
That meant a lot, but why I brought up the detail, because not a lot of people would actually tell something like that to a person. So
or maybe I don't
once
know.
Again, thank you again.
Yeah, I said that. Stand by that.
People are saying I'm being too nice. I disagree. I think, I mean,
hey,
there's a time and a place to start like arguing about. I guess we'd say
I don't know why you would need to be reassured of that, but okay.
Sort of intellectual disagreements.
Yeah, and that's not Logic's fault. If anyone can hear me, I don't know if they can hear me in the live stream or not, but that's not his fault. That was a stipulation that I created to do this because I do respect Calvo as a friend. I do like Calvo, and I the only reason he's doing this right now is because of me. It's because I called him like 3 times after I discovered the video. And I was like, hey man, why did I wake up and see that my favorite video or my favorite YouTuber made a video about me in like not a great light?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not cool.
The thing is though, I had no intention anyway from the start of coming in here and just like.
Well, the thing is that's the thing is that Logicked was the reason it wasn't in a great light was because the way that, again, it's the way that Calvo presented it. So that's what Logicked went after, because he was like listening. You watch Logic's video where he's listening to Calvo go on about this kind of stuff. He's kind of like, what? He kind of had similar reactions to it that I did. It didn't, some of it didn't seem very genuine.
Steamrolling everybody. That's not really what this is about. You know, it's different. It's different if you're directly commenting on some thing someone said that you disagree with or that you find weird, like in a video that's made for entertainment purposes. It's a real different thing when you're actually trying to talk to someone about the reality of things. Like it's just not how it works. I don't know if people remember.
See, I would bring up what I would bring up is the fact that Calvo brought it up multiple times that there was controversy between him and Logicked. From what I remember from Logic's videos addressing Calvo's arguments and content on YouTube, as far, and the same with David Wells, there was no controversy there, right? There was contention. There's obviously there was things that Logicked was saying and David Wells was saying. There was stuff that even Peter Tucker, who's in the live, I think he's still around. He was popped into the live chat here, that even he had issues with and he talked to Calvo about that stuff. And that's not controversial. That's just people disagreeing with the way that you're presenting information and the way you're doing it. And Calvo took that because at first it came out as, if I remember correctly, and maybe I'm misremembering, the first initial videos from Logicked and David Wells, and I think I mentioned this before, were fair criticism. They're like, hey, if you're doing this and you don't realize it, this is plagiarism. And then when they addressed it with it, he was like, no. He pushed hard against that. And they pushed hard back saying, you are plagiarizing. And you are presenting things on your videos as though that they are your own when they are really not. And that is dishonest. And Calvo took that shit personally. And obviously he still does take it personally when he did that video that we just watched, where he basically summed that all up as Logicked creating, basically making false accusations about him personally. I don't remember hearing any false accusations made by Logicked about Armando personally. I remember that there was pushback. There were claims made by Logicked and arguments made by Logicked and by David Wells about what he was doing and why they saw that as being dishonest and plagiarism.
For like years ago, I had a live stream with Theophilus McPherson, or as we like to call him, Theophilus McFernandez. And it's a similar kind of thing where it's like, I mean, you're there to just hang out and be like, yeah, so anyway, about that stuff. It's I don't know. It doesn't have to be aggressive.
Yeah, and I'm hoping this could be like maybe like,
yeah, because it's about the content. It's not about the person. It's not about the person. It's about their shit.
Somehow you guys find like some sort of middle ground, if that's even possible. I doubt it is, but like some conclusion. I mean, like, you know what I mean? It's like some conclusion, or give some people some level of end, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to start on that real quick.
Sure.
So Logic, I got nothing against you at all. Like I said, I put that behind me a long time ago, especially because I got more important things in my life going on. So I forgave you a long time ago.
Forgave him? Wait a minute. You don't have anything against him. You brought up in the video that you basically accused Logicked of making false accusations against you. And now you're saying, well, I forgave you for that. There's nothing to be forgiven here. Logic didn't do anything that needs to be forgiven in any way, as far as I understand it. He didn't dox Calvo. He didn't go after his family. He didn't go after him personally. He just criticized his content. There's nothing to be forgiven there.
Even if you feel that there's nothing to be forgiven for, that's just, my perspective on things. I believe that was just my duty to forgive you and kind of put everything behind me and move on.
Damn monetization.
Regardless on how you feel about me, your opinions about me,
Can I clarify something there though?
Yeah, go ahead.
You forgiving another person really has nothing to do with how the other person feels about it. If you feel that somebody has done something that you think is, uncalled for or whatever, if you feel that somebody has done something wrong, then, forgiveness is your business. It's like whether I think there's anything to be forgiven for has nothing to do with what you do.
Yeah, that's why I brought up that other point, that whether you feel that you need to be forgiven for something or not, it's just my perspective on what I felt that I needed to do.
No, I agree.
So it's just me. It's a personal thing, personal conviction.
That's not quite the way I would present.
Like I said,
that's not the way I would
you
approach
put it all
that.
behind me,
But
and,
I've already
just
given my
moved on,
opinion.
as well as like all your subscribers, many of them which know who they are. The few that have doxed me, the people who have insulted my family, have contacted my family, and said some nasty things. I forgive them as well too. I know.
And I want to say I condemn that
true.
behavior. That was not me.
Yeah.
And that was never endorsed or promoted or anything by me. If anyone, I never heard of anyone doxing you, but if they did that, that's insane. I mean, that's completely uncalled for and unacceptable on every level. 100% against that.
And I appreciate that, and I don't blame.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing, because now Calvo has to. Now there's another problem with that video that Calvo did, is that it's still up there, and there's still the claim that Logicked made false accusations about Calvo. So I would push back and say, what are the false accusations about you that I have made? And then if he said, oh, when it comes to, and if he came back and said, oh, when it came to when I did stuff about this or did stuff about that, then Logic can say, that's not me making false accusations about you personally. That's me criticizing your content. There's no false accusations there. There can be speculation on my part as to your possible motivations or whatever. But again, that's not false accusations against you personally. But Calvo mentioned that multiple times in his video. So, and he edited that video in a way so that those were kept in there, that emphasized the false accusations.
It's not like, when I had responded to some of the individuals, I didn't say, oh, it's all Logic's fault and stuff. It's like, no, those are those certain individuals who made their own decision to do what they did. It has nothing to do with you. You can't stop everybody from doing what they want.
No, again, you said that he made false accusations. You implied that in your video, that Logicked made false accusations, because part of your narrative was that that Mike here, because he watched Logick's video, wanted to beat your ass for being an idiot based on those false accusations. Calvo can't keep his shit straight.
Want to do, so like I said, if they're watching the video, they know who they are. I have forgiven them as well, and like I put it behind me. I'm not really worried about that anymore. And as far as like the whole like channel thing goes, people got to understand too. Like, yes, I get it. I probably suck with my communication, my delivery, but I'm still fairly new with apologetics. I just decided to make that channel and start.
You just decided to make that channel. You made that channel before you went into the army.
People got to understand too. Like, yes, I get it. I probably suck with my communication, my delivery, but I'm still fairly new with apologetics. I just decided to make that channel and start a ministry where I provide evidence for God and the history of
the Christ Righteous Ministries you've had around for years, and the premium Grunt one was the one that you wanted to do about your time in the military that was separate from your Christ Righteous Ministries, but you put your you put the video talking about the friend that you have made in the military and how that person is a Logic fan in your Christ Righteous Ministries channel. You didn't just make that channel, man.
The Bible and stuff, and
I'm wondering if Logic is smelling the bullshit that's coming out of Calvo's mouth, because I'm smelling it. That kid is talking some major bullshit right now. He is backpedaling in a way like he is throwing poop while backing away. He did not just make that channel. He did not just make the premium Grunt channel. Those channels have been around. Christ Righteous Ministry has been around for a lot longer than the premium Grunt channel has. And the premium Grunt channel he made before he went. It was originally called U.S. Christian Soldier, and it was made during the time he was talking about getting into the military or prepping to go into the army. And I think on one of his videos, he said he's been in the military now for like over 500 days, almost like 600 days now.
still learning. You know, I'm actually currently in college to get a degree so that I can better communicate and deliver, you know, the information in a lot more responsible, respectable way. Which is another reason why I took a break from it as well. So that's another thing that I also have on my shoulder right now is college. So
you didn't take a break from it. You started posting a glut of videos within the span of like just a few days, if I remember correctly. Like you had stopped for a while and then boom, did a glut of videos, and then I maybe 4 or 5. And one of them was this one from Christ Righteous Ministries where you're talking about your friend Mike being a Logicked fan. This is bizarre to me.
but yeah, you know, that's just really what it is. You know, it's all behind me, and there's nothing
Apparently it's not behind you. You did that video.
really left to kind of cover here, you know, as far as like with you and stuff like that.
Yeah. I guess yeah, if you don't want to talk about other stuff, that's fine. I mean, I do have a list of questions, but whether we get to that is
Yeah, I would have pushed back. Yeah, if I was Logicked, I would have pushed back on that hard. I just made this channel. No, you didn't. And again, that video that you made, you edited.
questionable.
Are you ever going to come out with God is 2?
That's
a lot
a
of
good
people
question.
are asking about that. A lot of people are asking about that. I figured I'd just throw that out there.
Ugh, let's hope
You told
not.
me
Yeah.
yesterday that you're working on it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've been on and off with it. I've kind of been deciding whether or not I want to do it now or do I want to wait till I get my degree, because I know that there's a lot more that I can learn, and there's a different, you know, way that the book could come out after learning some of the things that I learned in college. So I'm not really sure. I know it's not going to be anytime soon. Like I said, I've been busy, so it's kind of hard to
Well-
cover that. You know, I can't like take time away from my family after work. You know, especially when I go to the field, I'm getting, you know, deployed sometime in the future. So like maybe when I'm out of the military, who knows? But
Yeah, being in the infantry, they normally have, like when I was in the military, you normally had to do like, you could do like correspondence courses, you could do CLEP tests and stuff like that to get college credits that way and stuff. But getting your degree while serving in active infantry is hard, because they do have a cycle where they allow soldiers to take college courses. I think they called it the green cycle when I was in, but guys could go to college for a couple weeks. It was like a couple weeks long. You could attend some community college courses, and the guys that didn't do that normally got stuck on doing other kind of like I didn't take any college courses when I was in. I ended up getting stuck on funeral details, where basically they tasked a bunch of guys to go drive around the state of New York and neighboring states to do military honors at funerals for veterans. Peter's here. What's up, Peter?
I had to check. Is that you?
Yeah, it's a boring ass stream. It's not
Have you been
controversial.
raised from the dead? Where
It's
the
been
hell have you been?
Oh, I've been lurking. All I've been doing
Yes.
is lurking.
I've seen that.
Yeah, I decided I didn't really even decide it. I just kind of went, fuck it, I'll cover this because it just came out. It just came out today, and I was like, you know what? Let me watch that, and I'll do a live stream where I watch it and kind of get my take on it. But before I went into this, I wanted to, like I said, I watched Logick's response video to Armando's 9-minute, 10-minute video, but I wanted to watch that video of Calvo's just straight through, get the whole thing as it is, and then go right into this. And I'm kind of glad I did because some of the stuff that Calvo is saying right now, if I was Logicked, I'd be pushing back hard.
So you don't know that he went live about the same time you went live?
Who, Logicked?
Calvo.
No, because I'm not subscribed to his channel.
Yeah, the title of the live stream is I went live with Logicked and this happened. ...
Are you recording it? Please tell me you're recording it, because sometimes he has a tendency to take that stuff down.
No, I'm not recording it.
Oh.
Should I
Okay.
be? Do you think?
I don't know if there's anything juicy in there. You might want to, because he does have a tendency, or at least he used to have a tendency to like throw shit out there and then he'd immediately take it down like a couple days later. And then nobody could find it again. And people are like, hey, what happened to that video where you said this? What are you talking about? I'm like, you did a video where you said this. No, I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me...
Yeah, I'd seen that Logic, because I remember seeing the community post from Logic saying that he had talked to this guy Mike here, the army buddy, and that they were going to be having a live stream at 6 p.m. Central Time. It was going to be him, the guy Mike, and Calvo having a conversation. But I missed it. We were doing other stuff, and then I was like, oh yeah, that happened live, but it was over an hour ago. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and watch that. So I decided, yeah, fuck it. I haven't done a live stream in a while. I'll go ahead and do it up here. See if there's anything juicy. And for like the first, I mean, this has been fucking boring as shit, but it is kind of interesting to see Calvo kind of like take the time to do a video and edit it. And then now he's having this conversation with Logic, and he's basically talking about like, yeah, I'm kind of like over that. I kind of, embellished on some things and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, seriously? Own your shit, man. Just own it.
Yeah.
You mentioned false accusations made by Logic, and how those false accusations led to your friend Mike wanting to kick your ass. Or to a desire to kick your ass, and then come to find out that's not even true. So what that presents to me as the good little Christian soldier that you are, you have no problem bearing false witness.
Well, he hasn't ever, has he? I mean,
I've never. Yeah.
I mean,
but it's just exaggeration. Because didn't you catch him in multiple lies? Like
yes,
right to his face, and brought him up to his, just like, that's a lie. You said this.
Yes.
You went, no, I didn't. And you went, yes, you did. I have it. Uh-oh.
All of that led to several deleted streams and ultimately an entirely deleted channel. And 2 deleted Discord servers. Oh, no, not
yeah.
Deleted. He left. He left. And then said, yeah, I lost my password. Yeah, bullshit. The first one I brought Logicked in. The first one I brought Logicked in, so he had to run from that like hell. After Logicked had a brief conversation with him on his channel, that didn't go down well.
Because wasn't I privy to that one, or was I privy
yes.
to? I thought I was privy to one also with him and David Wells and you having a conversation with Calvo. I didn't have much to say, but I was there listening. I thought
Yeah.
David Wells had also joined for that conversation. But again, that was you guys basically emphasizing to him, kid, you are creating content like it's your own, and you were stealing from other apologists.
Yeah.
You are not creating new Christian apologetic arguments. You are just quote unquote borrowing from other Christians because, in his words, everything belongs to all the Christians because it's a big Christian community and we can do that. We can plagiarize off of each other and nobody has a problem with this.
And he added somewhere in the book or on the back of the book that he was inspired by, and then listed the creationists that he stole from.
Yes.
And I told him that's not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how you
have
properly.
You have to cite them on every quote you take from them and put in your book.
Yeah.
Not just say I'm inspired by and just copy all of their shit. That's not how that works. That's plagiarism.
Yeah.
But yeah. He's got I think at least 5 or 7 of my accounts blocked. So there's no way I can
Wait,
single time.
What channel is he live on? U.S. Christian Soldier, or is he on Christ
Righteous Ministries? He's no longer live, by the way. It has ended. So
okay, I want to see if
it's 50 minutes long.
Oh, yep, it's still there.
It's still there. And just in case, I am downloading it.
Oh, awesome.
You never know.
Yeah, because I'm kind of curious as to what his take on that is on this conversation, because I may not cover this whole thing, but I'm like halfway through it, and like I said, there's things that I think I'm justified in saying that those would be things if I was Logicked I would have pushed back on, like just and not even being picky, just the fact that he said, "Oh well, this is a channel that I just created," and I'm like, "Huh? What are you talking about? You just created these channels? No, you didn't." Or you just created this channel. That doesn't follow, man.
No.
Sitting on those channels quite a while.
Several of his channels have gone away because people criticizing him on his plagiarism. This is the last channel he created.
Well, the Christ Righteous Ministries channel, it says joined October 3rd, 2018. So it's almost 6 years old.
Yes, but he had that channel, but he was posting on a different channel before he went to this one. And then he told everyone, "Well, this is my original channel. I've had this for a long time."
He had a gaming. Didn't he have a gaming channel supposedly before this Christ Righteous Ministries one?
Yes, he had a gaming channel, and he had an Armando Calvo channel as well, where he had some producers work for him and help him with editing. I forgot that.
Oh,
that suddenly ended too.
Oh, okay.
Because he used to have edited videos, and they looked pretty nice. So someone spent time on editing his videos, and he said there was a team, and that was he was part of the team. But that channel completely disappeared.
Yeah, because didn't that have some music? Well, there was one that he had. There was like music videos on. He did like a music.
Yes. Yes.
I thought
he had some kind of a singing career too.
I like how he said this was his other career. He said that in this in this conversation that he's having that he had with Logicked, and right here he said, "This is my second career," and it's like,
yeah,
it's a low bar that you set for.
Yeah, There's so much wrong with this guy. I don't know. Are you familiar with Blaster Master? I think I had a long conversation with Armando and Blaster Master on one of his channels that also
I
got deleted. But I still have a copy of that, I think.
yeah, I think I saw that one. I'm trying to remember if I saw that one. Anyway.
But yeah. When it comes to lying, he's actually pretty good. I wouldn't trust anything this guy says, and I'm really curious if Army Buddy here is going to figure that out too. Because if he does that on YouTube, he does the same thing in real life.
It's possible. Yeah, if you're like I said, I don't know if you were here for it, but I mentioned that if this had been something that I had done when I was in the military, or anybody had done when I was in the military, you would never, ever, 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 ever hear the end of it. Just never.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I haven't seen any of this. I watched the start and I like Logicked, but he's not a good interviewer or live streamer, I think, because it.
Yeah, I think he does better. Yeah, he does better at edited content than he does.
Yes.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if he understands that as well, because he does his thing, he does his edited video, and boom, it's done. I think some people understand they understand their limitations.
Didn't Logicked have a live streaming channel? Because I was
that I don't know.
This went on. Yeah, that this went on his normal channel. That kind of threw me off a little. Because I do think that he made a channel specifically for live streaming.
Yeah, that I'm not familiar with. There it is. Sorry, I am also working on downloading that one.
Yeah, my download keeps failing. So
sometimes that'll happen if the video hasn't finished processing, if it hasn't finished rendering. I'll see if mine comes through.
see, I have another thing to download it. Usually, when the first one can't do it, the other one can. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm currently doing it now. It jumped from 1 to 67. I think it might fail. Anyhow, let me get back to this and see what they're gonna see if this amps up a little bit, and if it doesn't, it doesn't.
I don't know. As of right now, it's not coming out anytime soon. So I'm not going to be focused on that right now.
One of the things that really blew things up back in the day was, I mean, I don't just want to say plagiarism flat out like that, but I mean, that's basically what it is. And then essentially the refusal to acknowledge that, right? And treating that as if that's some sort of a personal attack or something, when people were honestly, it is the fact. If you're in college, you're probably, I would expect, probably starting to realize that.
Depending on the courses he's taking.
Like me respond?
Sure.
If you want.
You know, like I said, I don't want to discuss anything that has to do with that. Like I said, I put it all behind me. But
it's more. Sorry, just to clarify what I mean. I'm talking more about the future, right? So like God is 2.
Yeah.
It would be best, just as a piece of advice, like understand what the criticism was there, because it's a legitimate criticism. If you do stuff like that in college, you will probably get expelled.
Yep.
Seriously. And so I'm just saying, like, just for your future work, right? Really, people want you to understand this, and it's also for the good of your own life. Is that, like, that can have serious negative consequences, and it's nothing about like, oh, Frank Turek might come after you for copyright things. I mean, I think David, what's the guy's name? David John Wellman was more focused
Oh
on
yeah,
stuff
Wellman.
like copyright.
That's right. I was calling him Wells.
I don't care about
I think
that.
it's Wellman.
Really,
Or
I
is it
just
Wells?
wanted to
Anyway, yeah.
make it clear that, like, if you approach writing without understanding proper citation, proper quotation, how to avoid falling into the category of plagiarism, you really need to understand it.
All right.
That's all. Like, I mean, I'm really not, it's just because I have the opportunity to talk to you. Because like, I'm not just trying to like harp on it.
The interesting thing is that with Chat GPT, and you don't even have to use OpenAI. There's lots and lots of sources out there that talk about plagiarism that he could have. I think there were sources, and maybe I'm incorrect here, but maybe they did, maybe they didn't share some sources with Calvo to read up on the problems with plagiarism and how to avoid plagiarism and how to properly cite sources. But
I think
even if
I at least shared a few things with him on why it was wrong, and that. So if you cite famous people, they might even sue you and get your book off the shelf. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, but it does. Yeah, and regardless if you face any kind of legal ramifications, it doesn't do much for your credibility. If that goes
No.
around that you're stealing people's ideas and presenting them as your own, yeah, that does not bode well for you to be taken seriously in any serious sense. So
No, it doesn't.
On it, right? I'm really saying, like, it's actually.
I just remember Calvo very much trying to stick to that whole justification that, oh, it's a community. Christianity is one big community, so we can kind of share this kind of stuff this way. And I just remember I think it was you and David and Logic saying no. That
No.
you might think that you might have it stuck in your head that's the kind of charity that the quote unquote Christian community at large could do, but in reality, that's probably not how that works.
No.
People make money off of that work, and by you taking that work and trying to present it as your own and grow your own channel and get monetized, that is extremely dishonest. Right? Because like he said, this is my other career, this is my second career. That right there tells me that he's motivated to do that as a kind of career. He even talked about it before he joined the army. Well, I'm going to do this, and maybe I'll make a life out of this, but maybe eventually I'll get out of the military, and I'll get my degree, and then I'll focus on this, and I'll be like I'll be a Christian apologist, and I'll have more, I'll have more backing or something like that. And it's like, well, you weren't. One of the things that you're going to have to deal with is you're going to have to deal with the criticism of other people when it comes to you presenting ideas as your own that are not your own. And that's what David and Logic and even you, Peter, presented to him. And he seemed very like he's doing now, like he's being kind of like acquiescent to it. But in reality, I don't think he thinks that he did anything wrong, because in that video that he did talking about the story time of meeting Mike, who is a Logicked fan, he emphasized the false accusations. And he never mentioned what the false accusations even were.
No, he saw everything as a attack on his person.
Yeah.
Where that wasn't the case. The first time I talked with him, I tried to at least see if I could that we could end on a friendly note. But yeah, he wouldn't hear of it. So
Yeah.
That's
really important.
Mhm.
All the other
This is Sundays for Dogs. Sundays is human grade air dried dog food. 90%
stuff, any like intellectual disagreements, religious disagreements and science disagreements, all of that doesn't matter. I don't care about any of that. Right? I don't want you to end up getting like kicked out of college for not comprehending what I was trying to say.
Yes, sir. But mind if I respond quickly?
Sure.
Yeah. So regardless of whether or not people are going to take my word for it or agree with me or disagree, I still stand by, the project's intent.
See,
It wasn't plagiarized.
it was plagiarized. Yes, the intent is one thing, but that doesn't change plagiarism. If your intent was, oh, well, I wanted to share these arguments, that does not change the fact that plagiarism was committed by you, regardless of your intent. Just like I can kill someone regardless of my intent, right? You can commit a homicide. The intent can go into whether or not, I'm using kind of an extreme analogy here, but the intent would come into whether or not this particular homicide is a murder or involuntary manslaughter or, whatever. But it still doesn't change the fact that it was committed. So great. Your intent isn't to do that. And that was something that I believe was also discussed. Intent doesn't matter when you produce. People don't know what your intent is when they read it, and you didn't take the time to learn how to properly cite your sources so that it doesn't look like plagiarism. Because if you don't do it, it does look like it is plagiarism. It's plagiarism right off the bat. So and the only thing that you can do is you can feign, well, my intentions were good, or you can feign ignorance. I didn't know that this was the way that these things are supposed to be sourced. And then people can go back, like David, yourself, and Logic, go, bullshit, we told you. We told you that this is plagiarism. So that excuse no longer works if people have told you multiple times you are committing plagiarism. And even on a YouTube channel where you are, I would say that that's kind of a stretch when it comes to plagiarism, where you're sitting there and you're on camera and you're talking to people and your audience is going, wow, this kid is making these great arguments for Christianity and blah, 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 blah. And then David and Logic go, excuse me, he's reading that from here. And these people are taking it as though they're his ideas. They're his actual arguments. He is stealing that shit.
And it's worse because he's making money off of it. He published his book, which you can buy, which makes him money.
Yeah. So that's another. That's just adds to the disingenuousness. Yeah.
That is the big problem, because if he were to give his book away for free, then it might not be such a big problem. But he's making money off of it.
Yeah.
That makes plagiarism a problem.
Plagiarized, but like I said, everybody's gonna have their.
By the way, Jay.
Yeah.
In about a minute, you will get an email from a website called WeTransfer, and if you open that, there's a link, and you can download the video.
Oh, you got it to work? Yeah, because the app that I used to get those videos I kept stalling. It didn't say it couldn't be. It just kept stalling out. It would get to like a certain amount and then it would just hang. So cool.
Yeah.
Glad you got it.
What you need to do is you need to download a thing called Shutter Encoder. It not only converts video files and audio files to any given format, it can also download videos from any website, including YouTube. It works really well.
Yeah, I was using WinX YouTube downloader, which has worked for me in the past. But like I said, sometimes it'll hang if there's still a rendering process, if there's still like a processing going on between the video and what's getting finalized on YouTube's end. It'll be like, oh yeah, it's fine, but it'll still hang on the download. It's kind of fucked up.
Yep. But you should have it now.
Okay, I'll download that in a minute.
Just the way the world is, like, people are always going to have their opinions on another person. their perspective on certain things that another person does. I still stand by it. Like I said, I don't believe anything that I, did as far as the project was wrong. Like I said, it was my first book.
Yes, you did.
I've mentioned this plenty of times. It's my first book. Never wrote a book in my life, and I wanted to do something collaborative.
And you still haven't.
With the intention of
Collaborative. Who did you collaborate with? Who did you collaborate with in the process of making that book? And when you collaborated with the other, because collaborative means other individuals were involved in that process. So
yes,
who
but
are
they
the
were, Jay. You're not getting it. The other individuals were the people that provided the material that he could just copy paste.
Awesome. Good.
That's
yes,
what collaborate
excellent.
means.
That's what collaborate means to him. Yeah, I took it from them. We all, as the Christian community, it's all collaboration.
That's how that works.
It's all collaborative.
Just stealing ideas just to make it my own. All the credit still goes out to my teacher, who I have taken courses personally. And I wanted to share that with collaborative ideas from my perspective on those specific topics and arguments. So, like I said, man, I don't want to be talking about that. I put it behind me. I can care.
Too late. And again, you did not put it behind you. Again, you're lying because that was part of the false accusation shit that you brought up in that video.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the false accusation that you were referring to, but you made it sound as though they were false accusations about you as a person. That Logicked was making that would give Mike the impression that who you are is a bad person and give him the motivation to kick your ass for being an idiot. Wow, Calvo. He still can't keep track of his own BS.
Nope.
Care less what people think, unless if people really care about it, then please, by all means, just take action. Don't just keep telling me X, Y, and Z. Just, take action. Maybe reach out to these particular individuals, make it noticed and stuff. It's like, just don't bother me about it.
No, you don't want to do that, Calvo. They're trying to save you from that negative attention.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They told you, if I remember correctly, they told you this multiple times. That is to spare you from the consequences of that kind of negative light, is by informing you that is plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of your, oh, wow. Woo.
I care less what you think. If people really think that hardly about it, and please, by all means, get in touch with some lawyers, take action. That's it.
Well, the lawyer, just to be clear, the lawyer thing, I mean, nobody watching your videos or reading your books has any standing to do anything legal, and they don't want to, right? And that is not to do with the plagiarism aspect. That's to do with the copyright aspect. They're different things. Copyright and copyright violation and plagiarism are very different. Plagiarism is essentially using somebody else's words without correct attribution. And this is a thing that in educational institutions, they are very, very strict on.
Yes, and other people will have problems with that. So yeah, the copyright infringement is where you use their shit and you use it as your own, and that's on them to come after you for that. But yes, the plagiarism thing that he's warning you about is to keep you from being put is, you know what? It's already been explained. It's been explained.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to be clear about. Is it's not a legal issue. I don't think you're going to get any legal issues. I don't think Frank Turek is going to show up at your door with some sort of letter. Right? I don't think that's the issue you're going to see. I just think that if you consistently fail to correctly attribute or even quote the things that show up in your book, you're not going to get legal problems. If you do it in school,
it does not put you in a good light, I think is what Logicked is trying to say to you, Calvo. It does not look good for you as for your reputation as a budding Christian apologist to do that kind of thing. It does not look good when you're going to college, and it does not look good even if you're just doing it as a freelancer. It doesn't look good because other people can point it out, and then they go, shit, this guy is selling this stuff? No, if I want these
Yeah.
arguments, I can get them from Turek, or I can get them from William Lane Craig, or whatever. I can go right to the cow. I don't need to get it from this kid who's just stealing their shit and not properly taking their. I mean, David actually went through and actually he explained all that in multiple videos. He actually went through the content, showed what Almondo had wrote, and then looked at these other things and said, "You see it? It's right here."
Mm-hmm. And it was word for word copied.
Yeah.
He got the books from the other apologists to compare it to Calvo's book.
Yeah, and and a lot of, if I remember correctly, David was pointing out that a lot of the stuff he was just getting from Google Preview. He didn't actually have digital copies of their books, of Frank Turek's books. He was just getting it from Google Preview and using them from Google Preview for free.
Yeah, and it's also not just a thing with this book. Let's say in later life he's applying for a position and someone remembers him and points out, hey, this guy stole someone else's intellectual property and put it in his book for which he charged money. This could haunt him for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now Logicked has made several videos on it. The other guy, I already forgot his name, made several videos. This is out there. And people have seen it. So
yeah.
I mean, I just don't get it. These people are trying to help you. Why are you digging in your heels, and why are you pretending that this is a personal attack, and why do you not want to talk about it? It seems to me that you knew from the start that you were doing something wrong and are now doing everything you possibly can to cover it up.
Yeah.
Or
trying to make it, or just trying to backpedal away from it while also justifying it at the same time. It's just kind of bizarre.
School, you might get school problems but if generally it's mostly just about there's sort of a culture to writing, right? And you're essentially, you could think of it like the morality of writing, right? Like within a certain context, or like the ethics of writing. And you're essentially going against that entire, centuries long tradition by just sort of copying things. The thing is, you can still use large pieces of somebody else's work. You just have to attribute it properly and quote it properly. So it's a difference in approach, but you don't necessarily have to change the content that much. There are people out there who can edit your work. You can even hire people for relatively cheap, I suspect, who will take a look through and just show you a few tweaks.
Actually, if you're savvy enough with it, you can use ChatGPT and it'll show you how to do it.
Yeah.
So maybe run,
or do it
if
even
you're savvy enough, you can just reword everything and still tell people that it's your own, because there are no new arguments in creationism.
Or in presuppositional or tag or whatever it was that he was gleaning from.
Jackson Wheat and I did an entire series on a book from 1967, if I'm correct, 1967 or 1968. That has pretty much every creationist argument that is still in use, and all of those were in that particular book. So you could say it's out there and it's you can freely use it. The problem is what you cannot do is copy other people's books word for word. That's the plagiarism. Yeah. Using the argument isn't, but then put it in there in your own words.
Yeah,
but
and then if
I recall correctly, his own words also were I mean, it was all spelling errors and grammar errors and no punctuation, and so
There were a lot of issues with that. In fact, I still, because if I remember, I got Nicholas shared me a majority of he purchased Calvo's book. Nicola did,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah.
shared with me a majority of that, and I read it's a hard read. I read about a third of it, and I was just like, oh my god, holy shit, this is bad. But yeah, because normally the way you want to use, if you're like you said, you can make your own argument, and then when you're making your own argument, then you can go see, and then you can use someone like Frank Turk or William Lane Craig or somebody else, what they've written as a way of emphasizing your point, and that's where you have to use that proper attribution. Either way, it, it, that's very important, and it's something it's interesting because that's taught in like I was taught that in like my first writing class at LCC at Lansing Community College, and I had already pretty much knew that, but there's different ways. I think there's different formats. By the way, some places want what did they use? MPA format or something like that. There's different ways. There's different citing formats, but either way, LCC had their own particular one that you had to learn and use, and it had a book on it and all that shit. So how to quote and format the citations and all that kind of shit. Either way, it's a little extra work, but it saves you from a lot of grief and from looking like a turd.
God is 2 through one of those, just to be sure. But I'll drop it.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, John says MLA fairly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll talk about any of the other the past stuff here. We've talked a little bit about God is 2. One other thing. I saw you making videos on your channel with InVideo.
Yeah.
It's not really your videos. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's that's an interesting approach. I think my feelings on that are pretty clear. I don't really need to go into that.
Yeah, I think he covered that in his response to Calvo's video.
What do you mean? Oh, like the top clips or something? Is that what you're
videos made with InVideo AI, where you type in a prompt and then it makes a video.
Yeah.
A lot of people have quite a negative impression of that as well. But I mean, whether you care about that is your business. That's your business.
Yeah. At the end of the day, people are gonna have problems with literally everything. Nobody's ever gonna be satisfied in this life. You know.
Okay.
Are you like that with your NCOs? Do you use that with your NCOs and your officers? Well, at the end of the day, sir or sergeant, you're going to be you're going to have a problem with something that I do, right? So let's just get past it.
I'd love to be there when he gets his grades in school.
No, forget that. Forget what the career that he's literally in right now. He's in the military, whether or not he stays in or not. That mentality that he just presented, that is not the mentality you want to have when you're dealing with non-commissioned officers and enlisted and officers. You don't sit there and go, well, if you just have, everybody's going to have a problem with something. When NCOs, when your superiors have a problem with the shit that they do, with what you do, it has real consequences on your standing when you're in the military. That is a shitty mentality to have. That does not work in the Army. You learn to conform to what your superiors want. You comport to military standards. You either do what they want you to do. You either comport to the standards or you're done. And it will reflect upon your standing in the military. You don't get to sit there and go, well, they just have a problem with how I do things. And no, everybody's just going to have that. Yeah, not something that you want to be. That's how I would have put. But see, I don't think Logicked was ever in the military. It doesn't. He's never said he's in the military, so I don't think he's ever been in the military. And a lot of people haven't been in the military, but I have. That is not the mentality that you want. That tells me that if that's honestly how he feels about shit, that is a bad sign if you're going to be a sergeant and how you perform as a soldier. And according to his army buddy Mike, he said he's a good soldier. He's squared away. So he's had to learn to comport. He's had to take criticism. He's had to take correction. All privates and lower enlisted have had to take correction. They get told by their non-commissioned officers and by officers how they're fucking up, if they're fucking up, how they can improve, where to improve. And that's and Logicked is very passively basically telling Calvo the same thing. So if Calvo responds to Logicked in this way, based on Logick's criticism of what he's doing, I'm very much now wondering how Calvo responds to the criticism of non-coms and officers. Of course he responds better. Of course he responds better to them. They're necessary for his status in the military. Logick's not, so he can just basically tell him to go fuck himself.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that he has that particular attitude in real life. He can do that. He can get away with that on YouTube because what's Logic going to do? Kick him from the stream?
Yeah.
That's all he can do.
Yeah. But the criticism that you will get from non-coms and from officers, unless the army has gotten a lot more, I don't know, laxed from when I was in, those criticisms are not always the most flattering criticisms. They will tell you straight up, you're fucking up. Either straighten up or we're going to have problems. And that's if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Some NCOs that you have will literally have you just wait till you hang yourself. Wait till you fuck up so bad. And there you go. Well, nobody ever told me I was doing anything wrong. Oh, no, we didn't. We just wanted to see if you'd fuck yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good NCO, but I'm saying it can happen. Especially if it's a soldier that wants to have that kind of mentality. Oh, well, everybody's just going to have everybody at the end of the day is going to have problems with something. Yeah, you tell that to your sergeant. You tell that to your platoon sergeant or to your squad leader. You tell them that.
I bet what's going to happen is that you're going to have a problem with something.
Yeah.
If you do that.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I want my milk and cookies. Wah, wah, wah. That's kind of the shit that they would, like, drill sergeants would like do when you were getting they were PTing you. They were called a smoke session. Basically, they did push-ups, sit-ups, and flutter kicks and shit until you were exhausted. They would used to say in the military, you might not, you won't be a better soldier, but you will be a strong soldier.
It's just the way things are. There's a little thing that I wanted to test out, to get some information out there because I haven't posted videos a long time. So, yeah, I tested out some like AI content. I could push at least some videos out on my channel because I've been gone for so long. I haven't had the time to actually make some content.
What? It's not like your channels aren't monetized, dude. It's not like you have to maintain anything.
No.
But that's a relevant issue.
So what does a typical day with a sensor look like?
Okay.
I probably won't be doing that again because it's just too much work to be messing around with that stuff. It's more easy to sit in front of a damn camera and record.
Okay. Well, that's a good approach. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess one thing is when God Is Due comes out, how can people buy it?
I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to retail the book yet. I want to try Amazon, see what I can do on there. I have no idea. I haven't really thought it through because, like I said, I've been too busy to even start writing anything for it. So
I'll vouch for him on that too. We're really busy during the day.
Okay.
And then like coming home to.
Yeah, that's why I'm amazed that he's doing that. And even I would never have thought to do this shit, even if this had been a thing when I was in the military. Even when you're in garrison, at the end of the fucking workday, you just chill out. You're done. I wouldn't be getting on fucking YouTube and doing fucking live streams and shit.
To a family,
I mean, in all fairness, What he didn't have last time was Chat GPT, so at least now he can use Chat GPT to write his reviews, and it won't be as obvious as it was for his last book.
Yeah, take over and make dinner and stuff.
Yeah. But you understand there is hype, right? Like there is anticipation for it. People will actually buy it, believe it or not. Like that is a thing that people will do. So if I mean, if you don't know now, that's fine. But I guess when the time comes.
Yeah, but Logic, how many times has Calvo done this where that's one of the reasons why people have they're speculative because he's hyped up things before, like he's hyped doing these music videos and walking in the woods and getting in a partnership with this guy and doing this and oh, my ministry is just expanding so great, and then next thing we know, oh, I'm joining the army, by the way, and we're like, wait a minute, what happened to this successful channel that you've been talking about and how it's growing and how you're getting this loads of support. Now you're going in the army. What the hell?
Now you're just being mean. I mean, I do remember when the second print of God Is came out, how the cover was so much better than the first one because it was much more purple and stuff. I mean, he put a lot of work in the second edition.
Let's just put out a video about it. Maybe people will see it. Who knows?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I probably won't cover it. Like, I kind of think this maybe puts a lid on things a bit, personally.
Yeah, sure.
I would no. Don't do that, Logic. Don't do that because this shouldn't be a video about like wrapping things up. No, this is about clarification based on a video that he did and speculations and thoughts and questions and speculations that you had during your video based on a narrative that he did and posted on YouTube. And then this guy, Mike, got a hold of you, and it could have been left alone with just that. But Mike contacted Logicked, and that's how the ball got rolling on this live chat. That guy, Army Buddy, Mike, contacted Logicked, and then they're like, and they talked, like in some way, communicated with one another, and then this got set up. That's how this whole live stream got set up.
But has Mike said anything? Because I came in late.
Yes, because he was basically there. Because the way that Calvo did that video, there were quote unquote exaggerations that Calvo regrets doing, even though he took the time to edit that video to include those exaggerations that Mike did not agree with. Like Calvo saying that because of Logick's false accusations and the way that he presented Calvo, and now Mike realizes that Calvo is the Calvo from Logick's videos, that made Mike, or Army Buddy here, want to beat Calvo up. And that wasn't the case at all. Mike's like, no, that wasn't the case at all. Yeah, we met. We joined the military at a relatively the same time. We ended up getting stationed in the same unit. I knew people that he knew. We ended up hanging out. Our families would get together for picnics, and we kind of got to know each other. And there were these kind of conversations. And I did think that it was kind of weird. I did kind of freak out a little bit that, holy shit, you are that guy from Logick's video. But Calvo's presentation of it was just weird. And that's what Logicked was picking up on, which I think Logicked did a fair criticism of it, because it sounded completely made up. It's like, who responds this way? Who does this shit? And then come to find out from Mike, it was a little bit more organic. It was like, I realize now you're having this conversation with this other guy while we're in the back of this truck, and now I'm recognizing who you are. You're that guy. You're that Calvo from Logick's videos. And that's how that worked. But they had already been hanging out before then. He just never put it together. Mike had honestly did not think that Calvo was that same Calvo until he heard him having a conversation between Calvo and this other soldier while they were in the back of a truck. They were going around doing cleanup after NTC training. because there's a lot after you do all those training. There's a lot of brass and shit like that. There's live fires. There's probably blank fire and all this other shit. So there's a lot of brass and stuff and litter and crap like that that has to get fucking picked up. And they assemble details. They get lower enlisted to get together, and they put a non-commissioned officer in charge of them, get them in a truck, get it with support battalion and everything, and they go around and they start doing basically after action cleanup. And that's all there was to that. And Armando made it into this big thing. Like, see, this is kind of interesting, because this is what can happen on YouTube, because people will, like, Logicked, what he was implying was Logicked put him in a bad light because Mike didn't know him personally. And that was the thing that I was critiquing. Logicked doesn't have to know you personally to criticize or push back against your ideas. He wasn't attacking you personally. David wasn't attacking you personally. You, Peter, were not attacking him personally. You guys were attacking his positions. You were going after his content and his plagiarism and possibly his copyright infringement and all this other shit, and trying to give him advice on it. That's not making someone out to be a bad guy. That's basically saying you are basically fucking up and your arguments suck.
Yes, it's caring for someone, because I mean, in all fairness, the first time I talked to him, I thought, okay, this is a young kid. He doesn't know what he's getting himself into. He's going to be butchered. That was after Logicked had already talked about him on his channel.
Yeah.
And that means that a lot of people are now aware of your existence. So I just wanted to help him out a little.
Well, he wanted, well, to be fair, he wanted that attention. But once you guys were basically saying this is probably not the kind of attention that you want to draw to yourself, that you're stealing you're taking other people's ideas and arguments and basically making them out to be your own. That's not a good idea. And what did he do? This is all collaborative as under the Christian community blanket. And you guys are going,
yeah, but that was long. That was long after my first talk with him. My first talk with him was that he just had bad arguments.
Yeah.
Everything he came up with was a straw man. That's when I had my first talk with him, because that
it was normally
go down well.
Yeah, it was normally based on his preconceived notion of the mental states of all atheists as being X, and then presenting that as fact, and then other atheists or non-believers going, no, that's not even necessarily the position of all atheists, which is something that he also fucked up on a lot, because
he had
not all atheists.
He had Christians criticizing him.
Yes.
In his first Discord server where I was in, he had Christians going after him, saying, hey, what you're saying is just bullshit, because that's not an atheist point. What you're telling is an entire straw man. You need to address the actual points. So it wasn't just the atheists going after him.
Yeah.
But, I would ask,
kind of similar to P-Town. Who has gone silent, by the way. Rest in P-Town.
Oh, poor P-Town.
Finishing it. If you do find the time, can I have like a PDF of it?
I guess I can do that.
Okay, cool.
No problem. Thanks for asking.
I'll even pay you for it, but like, it's all good.
Autographed hard copy.
Oh, I'll take that too.
No, Armando never even got hard copy, not a hardcover. I was gonna say, Calvo's he's not gonna front the money for a hardcover.
I will go renew my PO box. I will go renew my PO box tomorrow if I find out I'm going to get an autographed hard copy.
You can autograph.
I guess
thumb drive.
What's that?
I said you can autograph a thumb drive.
Oh yeah.
Anything else?
Send them the PDF.
Anybody
on
wants
a
to bring
thumb
up
drive.
here? I think I covered pretty much, most of the stuff that I wanted to bring up, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as anything else,
real.
man, I'm real too. I'm also real. People think that I'm not. So
I think sometimes people think you might be playing a character. I think it's just the way that the videos come across. Sometimes people think, I mean, you know how it is on the internet. People sometimes ham it up. I mean, I ham it up. Like you look at my videos, obviously I'm putting it.
Dude, you wear a black mask and red and blue sunglasses and
yeah.
Yeah.
In a bit of like a bit of
He
snark in
wears
the jokes.
he
maybe
wears
being
his wife's tights.
Over his head.
Yes, that's the black mask. I think he said that in one of the videos how he was making the masks.
a little bit more
or at
harsh
least the
than
first one was
Yeah,
one of
now
those.
you can buy the. I actually bought one like that for Halloween. It was red, so I wore all white, like a white hood and all white, and then I had a mask like what he wears, but I didn't have any glasses on or anything. Just this, so it just looked like I had a blank red, face. Scared the
Mhm.
shit out of those kids.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, I'd switch it out because that damn thing would get so hot. I'd switch it off, and I had like this chrome skull mask that I would throw on in place of it. That scared the shit out of the kids too.
I otherwise would be. But I mean, that's not always exactly the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, people think
This is, for context, that's during Halloween. It's not something that I do every day. I should probably clarify that. It's during Halloween.
the same
That's where
thing
you and I
about you or
differ.
anybody else, where it's like,
That'd be funny. Wait, you do that as a hobby, Jay? You just dress up like that, stand outside your front porch, scare the shit out of kids? Yes.
Not out of kids, but out of other people. I've put an air raid siren under the bed with a pressure switch, and it wasn't Halloween. I just had to. I had to stash that thing because we bought that. A couple of friends of mine and we bought that because one of our friends was getting married, so we thought it would be a good thing to place that on his roof, along with a very big electrical relay which we put underneath the living room floor with a timer.
Yeah.
Because that would be a great thing during the wedding night to go off, and yeah, that made the papers. The stunt I pulled off at home just made someone really mad and not talk to me for 2 days.
What was that? My wife was telling me that her father, when he was he was in the National Guard. He had gotten a hold of either a grenade simulator or I think it was an artillery simulator. So the artillery simulators, those whistle before they explode. And when they go off, it's loud. And they lived they lived in town at that time, and he set one of those things off in their backyard. That wakes the neighbors. That pisses people off. Those things are loud. I mean,
yeah, but
grenade simulator.
keep in mind, here we still have the air raid sirens, which are tested once a month, the first Monday of every month. So if an air raid siren goes off at night, it means that there's some shit going on.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. So it apparently not just the village in which the guy lives, the entire village woke up, but part of a city nearby, and I think 2 or 3 other villages.
Well, do you happen to have a nuke? Is it because you have a nuclear facility, or is this because they keep an air raid?
At the time we had American nukes stashed in the city I was born in and grew up in. So
okay, because there's where we lived in North Carolina. I worked at security at a nuclear facility, and we lived in the vicinity of that nuke. And within a particular radius of the nuclear facility, they had an alarm system that they would test quarterly, and it was basically like an air raid kind of deal, so that that way, if there was ever a breach at the facility, that old system would go off, and it would basically, give people the, hey, time to get the fuck out kind of thing.
Yeah, we now have different air raid sirens, and so if I were to pull that off now, after it has been discussed in the Russian parliament twice whether or not to nuke the Netherlands, I think I would be in a lot more trouble than I otherwise would be.
Stop attacking Cords, you demon. A demon has possessed our home.
Uh-huh.
We now have a cat.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Uh, it was one day after I'd had a bit of a medical issue and I'd come back from the emergency room, and my wife was coming back from her trip, and so she ended up getting an Uber and driving from pretty pricey Uber to get from Sacramento back to our home, but I couldn't drive. And I woke up at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, oh shit, I'd fallen asleep in my chair, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get the dog outside. So I take the dog out front, and she does her business, and I hear this, cat going off, and he's is coming right from the front porch. It was behind my wife. My wife's got this wood planter in the front of the house, and he walks out. This little ratty thing comes walking out from behind that planter, walks right up to my pit bull and starts rubbing up against the pit bull.
What did I say? I have a similar story to that.
And if you never thought that a pit bull could get a what the fuck look on its face, my dog got that look. She just looked down and looked up at me, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then the little bastard came over to me and started rubbing up on my leg and everything. So we took him in. But right now, if you hear my wife in the background, it's because once he gets his mindset on a fucking electrical cord, it takes quite a bit to get him to not go after that electrical cord. So he was attacking. My wife's got her charging cord attached to her phone, and he's attacking the cord while it's attached to the phone. And every once in a while, he'll come up on my lap and just start chewing on the side of my laptop screen, or just walk across the keyboard, plant his ass right on my keyboard. I'm like, get your ass off my keyboard.
That sounds so adorable.
Yeah, have you seen the video? So I've seen several on Twitter where a cat is gnawing on a laptop screen, and then suddenly everything's gone, and there's
so
nice
crazy,
colors.
Yeah, he was chewing on the plastic corner, and I just flicked him on the side of the head and went, no. And then he hit my hand, and I was like, flicked him again, and he ran off. And I was like, yeah, good, stop. Whatever you got to do. So we named him Atticus, but I just call him Fuckwit and Demon are his nicknames. I'm like, hey, fuckwit, stop that. And he'll look at me. I'm like, yeah, I
want
see
to
you.
I want to tell my cat story. So one Wednesday, I remember the day I was walking my my dog Abby, right? And as I'm walking by a house, I hear this like meow under the car. So I go visit. So I go in closer, and this little kitty comes out, and I pick him up. I take him home, and I put him down, and he winds up like going under the bed. Right, my sister had to work the next morning, and she blamed me for taking the cat home. You did it on purpose. Like, no, I just bottom line, we kept the cat outside during the summer, right? Because it was it was a cat. We didn't know whether it had fleas or shots or whatever. We kept him outside. My mom fed him in the morning, gave him cat food, milk or whatever. He actually got along with my dog really well. It was so weird watching them interact in the backyard. And and the cat would kill rabbits for my dog. There was a time when my dog actually brought in a rabbit's head inside. I had to like throw it away. It was so
Yeah, that's the cat sleeping with my dog.
oh, nice.
He just he just walked up and made himself comfortable right there, and that is the second time I saw that dog give me that what the fuck look.
Why is the cat sleeping right there? Like,
that cat loves Maddie. That cat loves that dog. And I have no idea why.
Thing. That's a good thing.
And Maddie's never had any aggression towards.
I had something similar. I had a guy follow me to the cabin, and so he's I don't can you go to where it's just the three of us?
Yeah.
No, wider.
There you go.
Okay, so you see the window?
Yeah.
Well, let me wipe it clean a little. See the guy? There he is. He's steaming up the place. I don't know what he's doing. I need to wipe away the steam every once in a while. But he's back there.
It's all that sexy selling with that fucking hat.
Getting back,
Yeah.
getting back to the story, right? You know, the cat would always, you know, would like always leave at night, and in the morning I would see him come through, you know, like come through the fence because it's the cat, right? He could just go through the fence. We had like, you know, we had those fences where, you know, there were like gaps, you know, there were like gaps in it, and I missed that cat. We, you know,
Yeah.
we had to. Okay, I guess we're getting back to this. Never mind.
No, I just popped it back up there. I wasn't like Russian or anything. It's just this guy right now, he is chewing on a cat. What are you doing and why? I don't think. Should I take that away, or are you watching him?
I would take it.
All right. He's currently fascinated with a string cheese wrapper that my wife left out. This is what they believe that this is what they call a lynx point Siamese. It says online that their personality can be dog-like at times. Yes, very much so.
Lynx Point Siamese?
A lynx point Siamese, yes.
Are they just like the regular Siamese?
They're a different marking variation of a Siamese.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
do they respond to temperatures in the same way?
I don't know where you want to go with that. You're talking about what temperatures to cook them on?
I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should. But I live in a country where we have winters where it's cold, and that's how I think apparently people found out. But if you put a Siamese in the cold, they will turn black. So if you put a Siamese in your fridge for a while, it'll turn black. And when you get it out and it acclimatizes again, then it goes back to its original color.
Oh, well, we're in California, so it doesn't get that cold. And I'm not putting them in the refrigerator. We've got food.
No, you might need to put them in the freezer because that takes less time.
Oh, gotcha.
To cook. I'm not saying people should do that, but
now he's
it might be an urban myth, but I really want someone to try it out and tell me whether or not it works.
Yeah, right now he's playing with the dog's Kong. So he's not a bad cat. He just wasn't litter box trained, so we had to teach him how to use a litter box. That got messy. I'm not good at using one of those. But just kidding.
I'm now imagining Jay taking a shit on the litter box
and then showing the cat how to vary.
See how to do that?
Well,
now you do this.
Well, it's like it reminded me of that scene in Deadpool where he said something about the cat, and the guy goes, "I don't have a cat," and he goes, "Well, you don't have a cat. Whose litter box did I just shit in?" All right. I want to see how this finalizes. I sped it up to 1.5. I want to see if there's anything else, and then I'll get to the other video that Calvo did later. His follow up to this.
Just kind of going further than you normally would, or something.
Yeah. So I mean, all I would mention is that I'm still fairly new at this. I've only been following the Lord for 4 years. I've been studying apologetics for probably 2 years. Mm-hmm. And all these other guys that you guys watch, such as like Frankfurt, Greg Koppel, Norman Geisler, like these guys have been doing it for years, many years.
You wait 4 years. The Christ Righteous Ministries. The date on the Christ Righteous Ministries YouTube channel is 2018.
Yes, but was it always named the Christ Righteous Ministries? Because it only saves the date it was created. If you completely revamp the channel, give it a new name, get a new handle, still holds the same date
Oh,
of
okay.
creation.
Okay.
So I'm not at that level yet. I'm still learning. This is why I even decided to get a degree for applied apologetics, so I can learn more. You know, my delivery can be a lot more better. So, you know, cut me some slack, people. You know, if you guys have advice for me, you know, you guys can send me some advice. You know, some critique. I will take a look at it.
They did.
And then ignore it.
And they, no shit, they did. They literally got out of conversations with you in real time about it.
There's no problem with that, but it all depends on the person's approach. You know, you don't have to like insult me and crap. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to insult me, that's fine. You know, if you want to hate me, that's fine. Just being a soldier, I'm already hated by half the world. You know, you got people who want to kill me, Taliban, freaking, China, all this stuff. So like,
oh my god.
Now it's going to be a professional victim too.
Oh no. Yes, that's Jesus Christ.
I'm not worried about that. You know, you hate me, cool, but you want to like send me.
Nobody said they hated. Where is this fucking coming from? Nobody hated you. Now, maybe there were some people that fucking hated you, that tacked onto your argument. You know, people that doxed you, the people that fucking Logic said he doesn't condone that behavior. He doesn't. That's unacceptable. Sure. But none of the people that have criticized you, the people that you said on your video had made false, because you were specifically implying that it was Logic that came up with these false accusations. He does not hate you.
I have to say this, and this is, I know people are gonna hate me, but the last few minutes, I'm thinking that Jay Patrick is slowly turning into one way because we've got this screaming wife in the back. Just saying.
What? What? You smoke weed?
Get off that chat box!
You gotta take
it. Drive me to hospital.
Yep. You gotta get me to my appointments.
Yeah. One way is back though. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, no.
He's trying to live stream again. So just waiting to catch him live to continue my conversation with him.
Oh. When did you last have a conversation with him?
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was just before he got his Discord account stolen.
Oh.
And so then I couldn't message him anymore. That's might be over a year ago.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that. I just haven't seen him. I hadn't seen him around. I mean, the last time I think I ever really had any kind of interaction with him was on Clubhouse. But through Discord or anything like that, no. Or even on YouTube, I haven't seen him. Because he used to pop up on praises every once in a while, but
yeah.
He hasn't. I haven't seen him over. If he has, I hadn't noticed him, but I don't go over to praises too often. Lately, I've gone over there a couple times, stirring up some contention with some people. In fact, there's some content that they gave me thanks to my handy dandy little trolling that I did. They were
the last time I went on Praise's channel, I went with my Dumpster Fires account and I asked for a picture of a Christian woman, and then everyone thought that I was asking for nudes, and I wasn't, and I got the picture. So.
Okay.
Some critique.
Yeah, because of the trick that I just showed you with Jeff.
Yeah.
The first time I showed that was on her channel, and so I thought it would be cool if I used one of her pictures and said, "I got you at the cabin right here."
Oh, gotcha.
And reach out. I'll talk to you. I'll listen to what you have to say. It's not that hard.
A lot of people tried that, I think, and ended up blocked.
They tried it in a very negative way. So yes, I have blocked many people.
Yeah, there it is.
Not only commenting, but like my social media and stuff, because their approach was disgusting. You know, like I said, there was
disgusting.
Contacted my family. You know,
that
even
don't do that, people. What the hell? If somebody's doing that, fuck off. That's ridiculous. That is fucking insane. If that has happened, fuck off. Yeah. These fucking people.
And,
honestly, there are people out there who are like that. I have not heard of that, but if people are doing that, that is insane.
Yeah, but nothing that came of like where in the in the main issues that were being presented, those were not those individuals. Logic, yourself, David, were
Yeah.
not myself, which I wasn't involved. I had a one-on-one conversation with him one time and was privy to that one conversation on Discord. But other than that, I would question him on certain things, and he would just delete my comments.
Yep.
Like I was being mean or personally attacking. I'm like, I'm not personally attacking you, dude. I'm just pushing
Trying to
back.
help.
Yep, I'll push back on something that you said and go from there. But if that's not what you want to do, then it doesn't look like that. It looks like you're one of those kind of people that wants to present your arguments or someone else's arguments as your own. And then if somebody says, "Hey, I don't think this is actually your argument. I think you're presenting this argument from someone else, and you don't have any real this has been whatever." And he didn't like that. So okay.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not gonna like tell you directly, hey, Logic, I sent some nasty messages to Elbow, so but
well,
like I
especially
said,
the family, right? Like it's different if it's you.
Well, they're not, dude. The people that he gets on this channel, it's not like they probably get together and have meetings. What people find to do in their own spare time, regardless of Logic's content, is not necessarily on Logicked. And again, you were the one that did the video saying that he was the one making false accusations, and yeah, move.
When it's more direct, but if it's like they find somebody in your family and send it, no.
No, yeah, my wife received, multiple messages from certain people and stuff. Some of them which are like really nasty, some of them that were genuine. She doesn't really care. It's not like, she got her heart broken because somebody insulted her or threatened the family or whatever.
How did they?
She was saying,
I'm kind of curious how they would have even got that information, but
it's pretty pathetic as it is.
It's
no reason
probably.
reach out
He
in that
is
manner.
dumb enough to dox himself on a YouTube video. So, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to get in touch with his family. I'd have no clue.
yeah, he's
But-
on Facebook. Oh yeah, he's on Facebook. So who knows?
Like I'm just as human as everybody else here. I have feelings I got for me. But like I said, man, there's a different approach, different way to approach things. Even if you disagree with somebody, it's just my perspective on life. I have a different one. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when they did try to talk to you, you would just delete them as though it was a personal attack.
Yes.
One other thing that occurred to me just based on the chat was that you said in a comment on the short that announced God Is Too that your current books are purchasable if people send you an email, but there was no email. And I'm curious if you have any way of that you're selling the books you already have that you would like people to know about, or anything else you'd like to plug, like promote, anything like that.
I would have to look back into that because during that time, there was when I did post that, I was selling the book directly from my shelf because I've purchased a whole lot of copies of them.
Yeah,
I got rid.
Hi, we're Visible. Get set to travel this summer with a wireless plan that'll keep you connected on the go.
Of 90% of them. But like I said, I've been super busy, so I haven't even.
Why is it he will do that? See, this is one of those things that he does. He posts something like he knows exactly what he's talking about, and Logic brought this up in his video. He read that post, and yet there was no mention of what email, how to get a hold of him. He just says, you can contact me on my email, and it's easier for me to just sell this stuff directly from me than it is to go through some other company or go through some kind of like middleman. And now he's sitting there acting like he doesn't even know how somebody could go about buying his book. That comment is not that is not that old. It's like a week, maybe not even 2 weeks old. Now he's acting like he doesn't even know what it was he was talking about. So like he posted the comment, but he didn't think it through.
I wouldn't put it past him that he just bought a lot of his own books to point to people and say, look how well it's doing. I have this many copies sold.
Yeah.
could be.
What are you doing attacking my cord now? What are you
It's
doing?
because the bad woman in the back chased me away.
Yeah, now he's attacking my computer
You
cord.
know, I guess retailing the book and stuff. So, you know, it's quite unfortunate, but it's hard to juggle so many things at once.
Yeah.
So I kind of just put a pause on that. But
Yeah.
once I start retailing, you know, the new
You put a. Wait,
book, I will do my best to.
how are you going to retail the second book? You just said that you're probably putting the second book on hold because you're so busy. What is he doing?
See, this is why I'm terrible at lying, because if you lie to people, you need to remember what you said and to whom you said it, and Calvo can't do that.
He just said that that's probably because of the military and family and all that. He's probably going to put the book on hold. Now he's already talking about how he's going to retail it or how he would go about retailing it. He can't even tell us how he's really retailing his old shit, his stuff that he's already done.
Yeah, and how is it easier to receive an email, then you have to package the book, then you have to mail the book, or at least go to some company who will ship it for you? How is that easier than have another company do that for you and
That's
you
what-
just
that's
getting the
exactly-
money in your account?
That's exactly what Logic said on his video because it was in the same video where he dresses that story time when Calvo brought up the meeting Mike here and Mike being a Logic fan and all that supposedly transpired. And then that got brought up, and then Logic said the same thing. He's like, how is this easier? The whole reason why you do that is so that they handle it, and then you just get the benefits. You get a cut of that. They get just a little bit. They get a cut of it, but you don't have to deal with all that logistics.
Open up a shop for all my books. So if anybody wants to, you know, check them out and stuff, they can do that. But I'll have to just update you guys on that.
Right. One small thing that people were asking, they were curious. So Mike, you haven't converted or anything. He hasn't got you yet.
No, I'm not gonna convert unless like, you know, God actually comes down or Jesus or whatever, and there's like actual like, I mean, I'm pretty evidence based on.
I mean, you never know, man. You never know, man. He might get you yet.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I don't want to like harm my relationship with Calvo. I don't know what he knows about me really belief wise. We haven't talked about it, but I mean,
just say it, Mike. Just be blunt and say it. That anytime Calvo talks to you about Christianity and his relationship with Christ and how you can have a great relationship with Christ, just tell him Calvo might as well just be pissing up a rope. Just be honest.
I mean, as respectfully as I can.
It's kind of weird though that he hasn't gotten him yet, because he's got great arguments. Calvo does.
Too soon, Peter. Too soon.
Of the guy, like, you know, coming down.
Yeah,
I'm not really a big fan of the whole hell burning shit. So
yeah, that's a bit of a sticking point a lot of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to explain that to me, because I mean, I don't know. I don't think anyone deserves an eternity of whatever negative anything.
Yeah.
No matter what you've done, because that's, I mean.
I guess, and on that topic, Calvo, now you have an atheist friend. So I'm curious if that has changed. And people were asking as well, like, has that changed your perspective on atheists, and you know, like, what has been the effect of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've actually I've always had atheist friends. I still do to this day. You know, I even have family that are atheists. You know, who I'm very.
Really? Do you straw man them the same way that you straw man other atheists on your channel? Do you think they all have the same? I call bullshit. If he's got friends that are atheists, and the way that he's talked about atheists on his channel, that's a fast way to lose friends, or for them to just give you a whole lot of shit.
Very close with, and I love dearly. So, it's not.
Then why are you straw manning them? Why are you gaslighting them? Going on your channel and saying, well, this is what atheists believe. This is what atheists hold to. And if they hold to this and blah, 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 blah. That's not a good idea.
nothing new to me. You know, I don't even Mike here knows, like, I don't push my belief on him. We rarely
he
ever
doesn't
talk
at all.
about it. You know,
No, he doesn't at all. We barely
No, because you can't when you're in the military. It's a good way to get your ass kicked.
talk about it.
You know, in fact, he asked me for one of my books. I didn't even like say, "Oh man, you know."
And they and normally in the military they kind of tell you, yeah, it's not a good idea to be doing that.
You should try to read my book, and
You got to deal with a lot of different people with a lot of different beliefs and a lot of different backgrounds and blah 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 blah. And so, yeah, that's
let me convince you or anything. He was just more like, you know, hey, you know, would you mind if I get one? I just gave him one for free, you know. So,
Something that I don't think that I brought up yesterday on the call. I might have, but I actually asked him for a Bible a couple of weeks ago just to read through. I've never read through the entirety of the Bible, and I thought it would be. I mean, like, you know.
no, just do Bible Gateway, dude.
Do you think you're actually going to do it? That thing's pretty long, but I mean, it can be got through in like probably a month if you read a decent amount every day.
My wife's
I had a Christian tell me that you can read it in 24 hours.
Huh?
I had a Christian tell me that you can read the entire Bible in 24 hours. And then later tell me that he's never read the entire Bible from.
I've heard that if you're consistent and spend about a couple, depending on how fast you read, and you spend like 2-3 hours, it could take you like 2 weeks on the safe side to get through the entire thing.
Most people who have actually read it tell me it takes about 72 to 75 hours, depending on how fast you read.
That sounds about. Actually, I think that's about right, because if you look up an Audible, I think the Audible. I think I have an Audible of an NRSVU or updated edition, and I think you're about right. I think the total time for that audio is like 70 some hours. I think or close to it. So yeah, I don't think that's too far off the mark.
Where we're from right now, so I'm alone right now for another month. So I got some time on my hands. I mean, so and he gave me like a pretty nice copy of it too. So I mean,
cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right.
Just to clarify, I didn't push that on him. He came to me.
I asked. He didn't. He not push.
He Calvo, easy now. He just said that he asked you.
Said. Yeah.
You don't have to be defensive. He just said that he asked you for one.
No. This is Calvo trying to get brownie points. I didn't push that on him. No, we know because he just said he asked you, dumbass.
I'm telling you, like, if you met Calvo in real life, you know, he's squared away, dude.
Yeah.
Some would say.
Oh, you can be a squared away person in the military and still be a total asshat in reality.
Yeah.
I know. I worked with some of them.
They would get down on one knee and ask him to marry him.
I'm just scrolling through the super chats to see if there's anything else that I haven't really touched on before we go here. I guess you said you could do an hour, and it's 52 minutes, 53 minutes now. So maybe we have a couple minutes just for a couple of things, possibly. I mean, there's the calzone meme. People are asking you your favorite flavor of calzone. Yeah.
Oh man. Honestly, it would be the buffalo chicken.
Oh damn. Actually, that sounds pretty good.
The blue cheese dip. Gotta get the blue cheese.
Blue cheese dip. Yeah, good. That actually sounds really good right now. I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go buy a calzone after this.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Actually, my wife said that she was going to make me one after this.
Oh, that's perfect.
She I think she's in the process of making it right now. So it's just it's the meme, right? So she was like, I'm going to make one. It's like, sweet. Thank you. I don't think there's anything else in these super chats that we haven't covered, actually. So
I have one thing actually from your wife that she sent me yesterday that I would like to bring up. So apparently, like, Calvo said something about like your family or something a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago too, but
yeah, I actually had like a thought on it.
Sure, go for it.
I was talking to Calvo, so he's like, you know, he's pretty new at this apologetic stuff. I mean, he made a video and then immediately.
Yeah, if you want to say 2 years is new.
You know, it was got on by one of the biggest atheist YouTubers ever. So.
Well, it's not even that. I was talking to this guy about this shit back during the pandemic. That was 4 years ago. Right? Wasn't that during the pandemic?
Yeah, it was pretty. It's a pretty long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably I mean, I would freak out a little bit, you know, like if you're having a lot of people come at you, it's probably pretty overwhelming. And, you know, you probably didn't mean that.
Oh, I remember that. I know what he's referring to. So what Mike there is referring to is Calvo took something. So he basically got his feelers hurt because of Logicked and David and you, Peter, criticizing him and telling him, yeah, there's some plagiarism issues and stuff like that. Calvo did a video basically questioning Logic's his ability to be a father, a good father and husband.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember that too.
And yeah, that is probably what Logic's wife sent to Mike. I remember that video. That was fucked up. And that was basically what I think Calvo thinks that you guys were doing to him, and you weren't, because he cannot delineate people pushing back against your arguments versus pushing out coming after you personally. So Calvo has a real problem with ad hominem versus going after a person's their content, their arguments, their position, challenging that. He thinks he takes those challenges personally. No, these are not just I take these things yes, I get that. That's why we go after, we challenge those. We understand, people understand. I think a lot of people on here who've been doing this a long time understand, especially when it comes to theists. And it can happen even with non-believers. You will have things, you will have ideas, positions that you have possibly an emotional investment in. And when people challenge those, it can cause a bit of cognitive dissonance or cognitive distress. That's still not going after you personally. That is them pushing back on your positions, your ideas, but your emotional investment and the way that you respond to that emotionally is not, it is not their intent to do that. That response is solely on you.
And I might be wrong, but I think that Calvo here thought that starting a YouTube ministry is going to make easy money, because he's seen other people have a ministry on YouTube and they get Patreons, they get donations, they get all kinds of stuff. And now these pesky atheists are coming on your live shows whenever you put out a link and criticizing you on the arguments that you have, telling you that they're bad. That's not going to help you start up a ministry and earning some money. So that could also be a thing why he lashed out the way he did. I don't know. But
could be.
I still think it's a possibility, because right after that he decided to write the book, and that was another way to make money.
But remember, at that time he was making good money and good benefits through FedEx. FedEx was a great place for anyone to have a job because they just took care of their people. Remember that?
Yeah, but
he didn't have to be doing that stuff. He had a great career with FedEx.
Yeah.
That was one of those things that he taught. That's one of those things that he's one of those guys that, like, when he's into something or when he's doing something, it cannot possibly suck. It is the best of the best. This is the cream of the crop. And then when people kind of go, it's all right, he goes, well, what do you mean? And you go, there's better out there. And then he'll be like, well, what do you mean? You mean I don't have like one of the best jobs? I mean, this is no, sorry, you probably don't. FedEx, like a lot of corporations, has got its problems too, but okay. But again, apparently working for FedEx wasn't enough maybe it was enough to put money on the, put bread on the table or whatever. But I mean, he decided to join the army, and he was living with his wife's, if I remember correctly from his videos, he was living with his wife's mother, I believe, or his girlfriend's mom.
No, I think he lived with his own mother.
Oh, with his own mom? Oh, maybe that was the case. Yeah. Either way, it's like you were the one that was bringing this stuff up. You were bringing up these personal things. So a lot of people, and then you get fucking creeps that will attack that shit. And it's like, if you don't want it, if you don't want them coming after you, don't give them anything to go after. Just leave that shit alone, right? Now that doesn't mean that it's your fault that they're going after it. But your privacy is predominantly your responsibility. So you got to watch.
There's two ways. There's two ways you can go on the internet. First is by creating an internet name, so you don't have to share any of your private details, or you're using your real name and you make sure that there's nothing else of you on the internet other than that you want to share with people.
Yeah, somebody probably should have told that to Gavin Hurlman a while back, but
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Remember, you doxed me, Jay. Why did you have to do that and dox me? It's out there. You're the one using your real name and threw it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, man.
Yeah.
And you're the one going around wanting to fight people all the fucking time. Yeah, I'll kick your ass. Me.
Whatever it was.
You know, that's way in the past. That's way in the past. I don't even. People still talk about it, but it's like, dude, it's a little out of date.
That's why I thought I'd bring that up. Just because.
Yeah, it's not like he threatened to blow your head off. I wonder if Logic's ever had that happen to him. I had a Christian to kill him.
That, and that might be the reason people, come at him and his family and stuff. So he probably didn't mean that. If you met him in real life, you would know that he's not malicious like that.
Yeah, and honestly, I forgot exactly, I actually forgot about that, and I forgot exactly what I even said, but understand too.
Oh no, I remember you were basically saying that Logic didn't deserve to be he wasn't a good father because he wasn't a Christian. Basically, there are no good fathers out there that are,
I had recently given my life to Christ, and before that, I was a pretty aggressive dude. It would have been, my response to things around me, things that people say to me and stuff was much worse than that. It was a little out of pocket to even bring that up in the first place. Like I said, I don't remember what I even said because
I got to be honest, I don't quite remember the details either. I don't remember the details.
I bet his wife does. His wife seems to remember it because she sent it to Mike.
Yeah,
the army buddy. So.
Either so.
Stove Guard, the #1 top quality stovetop protector and a must-have in every.
I mean, at this point, it's like whatever, man.
I'm gonna freaking, murder your family.
No, God, no. It was nothing like that. It was nothing at all like that. No. It was something that people thought was a bit weird. That's about it. It was like that was it. I was never bothered by it especially much, right? Like it was more a matter of okay, that's a funny thing to say.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was pathetic, is what it was.
Something like that, where I was just like, okay, that's, that was my reaction.
Because if I remember, it had something to do with him with Logic being a father, and how him not being a Christian he's going to be a bad father or something. That's what was insinuated. Either way, yeah, it was pathetic.
I mean, that's my reaction to pretty much everything. Like, I mean, if you did say I'm going to come and murder your family, I'd be like, okay, whoa, bro, that's a bit far. But I know you wouldn't do that. That's not that's not at all the kind of dude you are. I know that already, right? Before the hangout or whatever you call this stream, before obviously you're not that kind of dude. I know that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to stop it there. There's something I want to read here. Calvo did nothing to improve his image here. He doubled down on his blatant plagiarism and basically said he didn't care and gave some weak ass come at me bro to anyone who has sense of intellectual integrity. I disagree with the come at me bro. He basically just said, well, everybody's going to have a problem. So whatever. What a disappointment. He is too proud to admit any wrongdoing or to work towards bettering himself. I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. No, I think at this point, I could give some more thoughts on that, but I'm not. I don't necessarily disagree with SH4577 there, but yeah, either way, that's that. That's that. And I've been on for 3 hours and 14 minutes. It's time for me to get the fuck out of here.
It's time for me to get to bed because I was going to do that. And then I saw you going live and I thought, I've been complaining so long now to just fuck off and go to bed. I can't do that because then I couldn't face Jay anymore because I've been playing.
Pussy.
Yeah.
I sit there. You couldn't
you
couldn't hang, old man. What the fuck's your problem, man?
No, I've just been complaining about you not going live anymore. Every single time I bump into you somewhere, I'm asking you when are you got start streaming again. So when you
Well,
do, and then if I see it, I have to be an honest person. Then I have to jump on and then just okay.
yeah,
Sleep is overrated anyway.
yeah, I'm gonna get out of here too because I'll probably take like an hour nap because I work night shift now. So yay for me.
Huh.
I work
I work
overnight.
night shift now too because it's 4:20 where I am. Believe it or not. Not
Oh,
kidding.
smoke weed every day.
Yes.
That's the Brojo. That's the Brojo show
Yeah.
song.
Smoke weed every day. Yeah.
All right. So
Every hour because it's 4:20 every hour somewhere.
All right. Thanks for joining, folks. What little I had here, but again, I've been away for a long time. So
Hold on before you piss off. When are you going to do Calvo's video?
Well, I'll look at it. I think I'll transfer it over to my phone and I'll look at it. Maybe I'll watch a little bit of it tonight and then compare, because this video is still fresh in my head. So if I go while I'm at work and I have some free time, I'll listen to his what he did on that live stream, and then I can come up with ways that I can like possibly look for discrepancies in what they talked about here versus the way he's presenting it. Because I just have a feeling that he may he may sometimes I take Calvo as a person that when it comes to an objective viewpoint on something, especially when it involves him and criticism of him, he doesn't do a very good job of
And the title
recollecting.
kind of gives it away, right? I mean, I went live with Logicked and this happened, ... and then it's a 50-minute video, not just 10 minutes talking about something that happened. It's a 50-minute video.
Yeah. So yeah, I am curious about it, but yeah, I did download the video, so I'm gonna just transfer it over to my phone so I can just watch it while I'm at work when I have free time. Because being security, especially at night, you got downtime to listen to shit. So, kind of give that a listen and see if it's gonna be worth reviewing.
Yeah, dude, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it. So Frustrated, right? Frustrated Atheist?
Yeah.
So he had a job doing security and he was on every live stream while he was working.
Yeah, I used to do that at my other job. This job I can't do that. There's emergencies sometimes that we have to respond to. So those can pop and they might not even be an actual emergency. There's an alarm system there that is involved that if it goes off, regardless of whether it's a false alarm or not, we have to respond. So yeah, trying to do a live stream, and it's a security job that I do not work by my lonesome. I work with other people.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one of those jobs where I don't have that freedom. So, but anyway, with that being said, bye everybody.
Bye all.